Block Update, now recording.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Block Update podcast. I am Foxy Hotel, and I'm joined by Mr. Lizard here. Slack Lizard himself has graced us with his presence once again for this amazing show. Geez, Slack, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How you doing? How's life treating you?
Yes, it is.
Yes? I love that answer. You could have answered yes. You could have answered 42. Those are both acceptable answers in that situation.
This week has been not a bad week, to be honest with you. It's been it's quite relaxing. I've been doing a lot of website work. Obviously, if you want to hear all about that, you're going to have to listen to the bonus show, which we also talk about podcast statistics, Slack's fun buying air conditioners, and or struggles, should I say. And a bunch of other stuff as well. We'll talk about a lot of games as well, good games to be playing. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, then, of course, you'd know about that already because you're a supporter of the show because you enjoy it so much. You went to patreon.com/The Block Update. It's changed. It's already changed, peeps. I want to say thank you very much to the 38 patrons we currently have, and the minimum access you will get, or minimum perks you'll get at any level of your amazing support would be access to that bonus show that we talked about that we record every week, access to our patron-only Discord channels, and a really boring, plain, vanilla Discord role.
Yeah, it used to be a shiny role, but people like Stitch Fix kept complaining about it, so we had to take the shininess away.
Yeah.
Something about it being too bright and too flashy. So it's a normal role now, people. It is what it is.
But if you got light mode on Discord, it's really shiny. Really shiny if you wear you, but no one uses light mode, so they won't notice it. That's fine.
Yeah, no. You turn on light mode, it's like me looking at our update documents. It's just why does Google not have a dark mode? Just asking.
Because it's paper, Slack. Because the internet isn't ready for the fact that documents online are not paper. Can you imagine writing on a dark sheet with white writing? Whatever next, Slack. Someone will go to the moon or something in a space rocket made of tin. Who knows? Geez, crazy things. No, it's paper. It can't be dark because paper isn't dark. One of those things.
I guess that's a fair point. I loaded up a Diablo site the other day, and it was not quite black text, but it was like the light gray text on the light gray background. And I was just like, why? Why? I can't read nothing on this.
That's very handy. Very handy. Mm-hmm. Well, that's your feedback for their website, but I'm more interested to know what the feedback is for our show, Slack. And don't forget, obviously, and you probably haven't remembered, but it's all changed now because I've changed the logo, I've changed the feed, I've changed the podcast, I've changed the Patreon, and I've changed the website, I've changed the email address. That being said, the old email address still works because the new one just forwards to that one because I can't be bothered to change anything else. So, but the new email address, if you want to send us feedback, is news@theblockupdate.com. And if you want to go to the website and fill in the feedback form, or just look at the website for whatever reason, it's theblockupdate.com. And if you want to join the Discord, it's still the same Discord link. So, yeah. Anyway, feedback.
Yeah.
Starting with our favourite person, Slack. Oh, goody.
Oh, good.
Jeez.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. It's, of course, Stitch Fix, who, no offence, Stitch Fix, but I did cut a little bit of this out because it was on the long side. And it says, Foxy, 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 how's your day? While I agree I don't like the way Mojang has made changes lately, I feel the game has always been a grind. From the start, you were always in search for something to be able to do something else. Farm to feed this other farm. The only reason it's an issue now is because you can't farm for diamonds. You don't need diamonds to use trims, just to duplicate them. And I still 100% agree with you, though. Just another point of view. Don't ban me, lol. As for the add-ons, give credit where credit's due. It doesn't matter if it took 5 minutes or 5 hours. I know you work hard on them, and you definitely deserve credit. Open source is great for those who want to give it G's. Okay, let's break this down, Slack, bit by bit. We'll start with farming diamonds. I don't ever remember that being possible.
No, you could farm diamond gear, but I can't think of a way that you could ever farm diamonds.
No, I'm sure that's not what Stitch Fix means, but Yeah, it's harder to
Technically,
get diamonds now because of the stupid deep slate stuff and the fact that, you know, surface diamonds are only located underwater and all of that sort of thing. So that's
I don't know. You kind of can farm diamonds. You think of how at the beginning of each season, me and you like to break away and go end rating real quick. And what is one of the things we always say?
you get a lot
We
of
should
diamonds.
have done this. We get a lot of diamonds
Yeah.
because you get them out of the chests.
You did until they
So
broke loot chests in Ancient Cities last update. But carry on.
But it's still not, I guess, an automated farm. It's a manual farm, but I think it's easier getting diamonds that way than it is digging through deep slate.
You're probably right, but it's not entirely quick and without pain, is it? Because the diamonds are always in the room when you've got those. You've got a shulker on one side and you've got a shulker on the other side, and probably one behind you as well. So you're always floating, and even if you're not taking much damage, even if you're fairly well equipped, you're floating, which means you're always waiting to land before you can get your chest, organize it, and deal with it, and then move to the next one. So yeah, you could fly if you got the Elytra. You could fly pretty quickly from city to city to city and grab quite a lot of diamonds, probably, like you say, quicker than you could just going underground and mining. But it's a chore, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a chore. And I can't think of anybody that really, really, really enjoys end rating.
No. As for you need diamonds to trim, you don't need diamonds to use trims just to duplicate them. You're absolutely right. However, in my very, very short experience in 1.20, which has been a couple of live streams where I have been just going looking for streams, I think I've done, was it 2 or 6 hours now? Can't remember, looking for trims. I think it's 6. And I haven't got them all. And I've got 2 or 1 of each type. And in order to duplicate all of them, I need over 100 diamonds now. So I could pick. I've got enough for all of my pieces of armor, but they're not all the ones I want. So,
right.
Yes, I could just spend my entire life exploring, making the server really big, dying a lot. I died a lot, particularly getting the ones from the Bastion and the I don't think I died at the Nether Fortress ones, but they're certainly not easy to get. I would have died in the Deep Dark, but I was very sneaky, and I haven't got the Silence trim. Silent Whisper, speaking of the Silence trim, was it like 24 hours worth of raiding, streaming that it took him to get a Silence trim?
Yeah,
so,
and then some people got it on their first chest. Yeah.
So you might not need diamonds to use trims, but you really do need diamonds to use trims. Otherwise, you can go and get a handful of the easy ones to get, but you're not. It's going to take you a while before you've got a full set of one and a full set of the other, and enough of them to decide, oh, actually, I don't really like it in red. I think I prefer that one in blue. You can't, there's no trial and error. There's no testing with these. Once you've made one, you can't unmake it and get it back again. So you need at least one duplicate so that you've always got one left behind. So that if you decide, okay, I'm going to have a diamond chest plate with red this on that particular trim, and you put it on, you go, no, I don't like that. It looked fine on the picture, but actually wearing it, I don't like it. I think I'd rather have that blue or green or something else. Then you need another trim. So you need a lot of diamonds in order to get it right. And until it's been in the game long enough that people know this is my combination, this is what I want, this is how I have it, which will happen. Right now, that's not the situation. I haven't even trimmed one piece of armor because I feel like I don't dare use the trims because they're too expensive and I don't know what they're going to look like when I've done it. And I can go online and there's even websites out. I think there's one called like armortrims.com or something. That's probably not right. Just check before you go Googling that. But there's the ones where you can literally go on and you can design it all and you can have a look at it. But you don't know how that's going to look on you until you're in game,
Exactly.
So
it's a very time consuming process. And even if I'll probably play around in a creative world first with trims and armors to find what I want versus just blindly putting it on my gear.
Yeah, but then you've still got to live in it for a bit. And it's like you buy clothes from the shop, you go around, you try it on, you see what you like, and you get it home. And sometimes you just think, why did I buy that? That doesn't suit me at all.
Yep.
But you can take it back. You can't take a trim back. So
no.
And as for open source, maybe I came across bad on open source last week. I love open source. I use open source stuff all the time, but I don't want to open source my things, is what I was saying. I think open source is great, and the people that have the time and dedication to actually bother doing that is great. But what I was trying to get across was that people's time is valuable, so don't feel guilted into open sourcing things or working on open source things because you think that's what you're supposed to do. If you think your time is valuable, which it is, and you're creating something which you've put time and effort into, don't feel guilted into open sourcing it just because that's the right thing to do. No, it's yours. You do what you want with it. Don't feel guilty.
You do what you want with it. Yeah, there's a saying that I've kind of went by for a long time. If you're good at doing something, don't do it for free.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No,
Maybe that's not the mindset of everybody, but if you're good at doing something, don't do it for free.
That's particularly prevalent when you've got an elderly relative ringing you up asking, how can you fix your computer? It's going to cost you, Grandma. It's going to cost you. I want one of those apple pies.
I mean, payment's payment at the end of the day, right?
Right, exactly. Okay, well, who's next, Slack?
Next, we got Tiny Raccoon, and they say, just an idea, no need to take it to heart. How about the name drop the podcast and become just the block update, as the need for podcast was to make it clear that it wasn't anything Mojang related. Also, sorry for the typos. The word podcast, in my opinion, wasn't the problem. We were calling it the Minecraft update.
Yeah, exactly.
Podcast.
Yeah. The word podcast had absolutely nothing to do with requiring the name change. It was because Minecraft was the most prevalent word in our title, and according to Minecraft's terms and conditions, if you're doing something commercially, which we now are because we're asking people to support us via Patreon, then we're pretty much against the terms and conditions, and we didn't want to get in trouble with our favourite company that make our favourite game. So,
exactly.
As for dropping podcast, I mean, you can call us the Block Update, but I kind of like the ring to the Block Update podcast, and it tells you what it is. I think the Block Update on its own doesn't really make much sense if you're looking at, like, if you're scrolling online and you just see the Block Update, you'd be like, what's that? You see the Block Update podcast, you know what it is. You don't know it's a Minecraft one necessarily, but you know it's a podcast. And it also
True,
gives
but I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, it rounds off the logo nicely for a start, and it also gives us the ability in the future to do, like, the Block Update live stream, the Block Update this, the Block Update that. You know, you don't know where the future is going to take us.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Then at the same time, I mean, let's talk about that other podcast out there. Isn't it just called the Spawn Chunks? Doesn't say podcast, does it?
True. Yeah. The Spawn Chunks, yeah.
But the Spawn Chunks, when I think of that, really screams Minecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah. While the Block Update could go with just anything, as we've discussed before.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess, like, if you're watching a TV show, you wouldn't watch, The Office TV show. You just, you're watching a movie. I suppose quite a lot of movies, particularly back in the old days, did, like, the Santa Claus movie, had movie in the title, not so much these days. But
I mean, when you go to search for something on, let's say, Netflix, they have movies and they have series. So,
yeah, but they don't have them at the end of the title, do they? You don't go to the cinema to watch Too Fast, Too Furious movie.
See, now you got me wanting to Google, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm just going to say thank you for the suggestion there, Tiny Raccoon. Yep.
Yeah. If you want to call it the Block Update, by all means do that. The website's the Block Update, the podcast's the Block Update. It's all just the Block Update because that was convenient to have for the, like, domain names and things. But I don't know. I just like calling it the Block Update podcast when I announce it. Sorry.
Yeah, me too. I think it's good. Yep.
M2 Landscape says,
Mm.
About the 120 update, I agree 100% with you guys when you pointed out the problem about exploration in Minecraft. Every time Mojang adds a rare loot to a structure, it will mean that explore it once will probably not enough, and it end up being a repetitive mechanical task where you need to go multiple times exploring the same structure. Here is the numbers I had to explore each structure to get armor trims. Trail Ruins 3 times, Desert Temple 8 times, Ocean Monument 4 times, Jungle Temple 3 times. I really think Mojang need to add something to make exploration more fun and less grindy. thanks. Keep up. Thanks, guys. Keep up with the nice job you've done so far. I'm going to talk more about trail runes in the Our Week in Minecraft, so I don't want to get too much into that right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went into quite a lot of depth, I think, last week, covering on our what's the word? Disdain towards Minecraft's exploration and why it's not good in its current state and how it could potentially be improved. So, yes, thank you for agreeing with us.
Next up, Plot. And their feedback is, I totally share Foxy's frustration at people seeming to misunderstand what a podcast is and the whole concept of copper, and hopefully other blocks in the future aging in Minecraft. Foxy, it must feel like you're a lone voice on some of these issues, so I wanted to let you know I'm 100% with you on these two things.
Sorry. That's just reminding me of the very end of last week's podcast. I think after we finished recording, me and Stitch Fix had a bit of a rant at each other in the chat on the podcast Discord about it. All got deleted in the end because it got quite heated. about me having my opinions on something and other people having theirs. Look, okay, this isn't to Stitch Fix directly, but this to those people that listen to me talking and then get annoyed that I'm pushing my ideas on you. I'm very passionate about the game. I have a very particular way I like to play it, and I don't ever expect anybody else to share my opinions, and I never would ever say, oh, you have to share my opinions. But I'm passionate about them, and I want to share them, and that's why I'm a YouTube creator and a podcaster and a streamer, because I have feelings about things that I like to talk about. So when I'm saying to people, the whole point of copper is that it's supposed to age and show the age. That is what Mojang said it was for. But of course you don't have to use it like that. You can use it however you want. If you want to age it first and put it on stuff, that's totally up to you. That's great. But for me, that just seems to totally defeat the point. In my personal opinion, it just blows my mind that you wouldn't want to go through that and see your building go through the age. It's just like, what the one opportunity you have in Minecraft to watch something grow with time, which I think is a really lovely thing. And yeah, sometimes you just want to, maybe you're doing something and you just want it finished and you just think, no, I want to see it in its finished stage now. Fine, great, do it however you want to do it. But just because I'm passionate about a way of doing something doesn't mean that I think everyone else is wrong. It just means that that's how I like to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would agree with that. Whether it be game or life. We've had this exact kind of debate before. You have your opinions, I have my opinions. Sometimes our opinions are not going to agree. It doesn't mean that we still can't talk and still enjoy things. It just means that we have different opinions on some things. That's it.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, if the world was full of people that all had the same opinions, it wouldn't be worth living in because it would be the most boring, mundane experience you ever lived in. The fact that we all have different ideas and different opinions is what makes the world an interesting place to be and what makes people interesting. So share your opinions, never impress your opinions on other people, but by all means share them, express them, be passionate about them, but don't expect other people to care about them because they're your opinions. Jeez.
Exactly.
And if people do share them, great. If they don't, it's not a problem. Okay.
Totally agree with that. Mm-hmm.
It's me, is it? Okay. Whitebush says, camels. Adorable, two-player transport, interesting dash mechanic, player is safe from zombie variants, can't outrun creepers. Pointless. I've lost more camels to creepers than I've saved, never using them again. You're not using the dash fast enough.
Yeah, that's why it has a dash mechanic. Yeah.
Yeah. Camels. It really does sometimes make me wonder what they're doing at Mojang Towers when they're introducing these new mobs. Because I understand they don't want to add something in that's going to unbalance the game, and they've made it very clear that they don't want to add things in that's going to make something else obsolete. And they said very specifically with the camels that they don't want to make horses obsolete and donkeys obsolete, which is why they didn't make them have chests and stuff like that. But they need to give them a reason for being there. And at the moment, there really isn't, because camels are ridiculously slow. yes, it's 2-player transport, but 2 players can also still walk. What's the point? Where's the camel's point? What's the point to it? Other than, that's a nice camel, and that's it. And you never, they spawn one at a desert village. That's it. So it's like, and they're in a desert village. How do you get them home? Because they're so slow. They're so ridiculously slow. I saw one. It was a long way out, obviously, because the deserts are miles away on truly Bedrock from spawn.
Yep.
And I just thought, even through the nether, that's going to take forever to get home. I don't care about that enough to do that. I'd love to have a camel at home just because I've got one, but they need to give them a reason for existing. The sniffer's got a reason for existing, gives you plants. What does the camel do?
Yeah, it aside from beginning gameplay, I can't think of a reason for it to have.
Even in beginning gameplay,
existence.
It's not an advantage because it's slower than a player walking. If a horse is an advantage because it's faster than a player walking, a camel is not. It is not an advantage early game. It has no inventory.
Then it's just another cosmetic animal like the dolphin. It serves really no purpose.
Yeah. So in that case, why not make dolphins rideable? Because then they'd be useful.
Yeah, especially in the water, right? Not like we play on a server that's done that.
Yeah, so, good point, Whitebush. Jeez. Okay, who's next? Slack?
Nathan's up next and says, hello, peeps. I just want to clarify what a battery bypass is. So a normal laptop has a battery, and when you plug in the power while you're using it, all the power would go to the battery, and the power that the components are using comes from the battery. This degrades battery life. With a battery bypass, it splits the power so that 50% goes to the battery and the other 50% goes to the components. I hope this clarifies it and you get it now. Sorry for the book. Love the podcast. Keep it up.
I see. So obviously last week we were talking about, for some reason, there was a piece of feedback about a laptop, an Asus gaming laptop that had a battery bypass, and I didn't know what it was. So, thank you for letting me know that's what it is. I would have thought in modern days times that all laptops would do that, but I guess I'm wrong. But it seems daft that you're just filling in the battery from one end and the laptop's taking it out from the other end. It just doesn't seem...
Well, I thought didn't like your new phones, like if you leave them on charge for an extended period of time, I'm pretty sure I read something related to mine. Now I could be wrong, and if they know, definitely give feedback on it. That like after my phone's been on charge for 3 days, it no longer uses the battery. It just takes the power straight from the charging port to power all the components. I swear I remember reading an article about that with my new phone when I got it.
Probably.
That way it doesn't actually burn up the battery in it.
Yeah, but they
figure that laptops and stuff would do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to go back a long time when they used to say, and maybe it is still a thing, but I've never listened to it, but it used to be like, don't leave your laptop on charge all the time because it will kill your battery. And I remember my mum, because she wouldn't have a PC, she'd only have a laptop, and it just sat on her desk. She never took it anywhere, and she was plugged in permanently. And one day she needed to take it somewhere, and she unplugged it, and it didn't work. The battery didn't work. But that was, you come back 15, 20 years. I would have thought these days that wouldn't be an issue.
I wouldn't. I don't know, but like my old phone, since me and Jen have been going out, my old phone, I used to leave it on the charge all the time, and the minute I would take it off charge, the battery would drop like 30-40%. With my newer phones, I can leave it on charge 24/7 and take it off, and the battery's just fine.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something that's been changing over the last few years, maybe.
Okay, right. Swing Kid says, I'm trying to think of all the changes since Caves and Cliffs update. Mojang has made many improvements and bug fixes. I think when we discuss every single update in a podcast environment like this, it can take some of the magic away from figuring things out on your own. However, if I'm honest, as an experienced Minecraft player, I'm just not that interested in the grindy bits of the game as much as I used to be. It's almost as though my patience for early game has changed over the years. Thus, I find myself enjoying all the content creators giving us everything you need to know about this update. Thanks for the podcast again. Regarding my username, it was an old from when I was a kid. I'm no longer a kid, and I feel stuck with it. It's either S-Wing or Swing Kid. It's from a time when I used to be in love with the Lindy Hop swing dancing. Oh, well, thank you very much for clarifying your name on there. And yeah, I think we can totally relate to you, Slack and I, on the early game, being a pointless grind at this point because we've just done it so many times. I mean, normally when we do a server reset, I always say, I love this bit. This is the best bit. You get to do all this and figure out the world. And I know, I can't, no. If I could start every world with just fully equipped, I'd be much happier.
Can my players' armor and tool my players' armor and toolbar stay on my player? Yeah. Between worlds.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be amazing. If it was like Terraria, that would be absolutely fantastic. When you go into I wouldn't want that on every single world because I wouldn't want to go to like a creative world and clear my inventory and then go back to TB and have nothing. But I would like it if you could choose, like, this world has...
user profiles.
Yeah. It's got this... that would be amazing. That would be great. Yep. Do you know what? That would be really good, because then one of the reasons that I don't like to do 2 Let's Plays on 2 different servers is not necessarily because, it's 2 lots of building to do and 2 bases to build. It's because... resource management's confusing. You log into one and you've got like this particular hotbar and these particular tools and this particular ender chest, and you've got a lot of deep slate and you've got a lot of this, that, and the other, and you're like, okay, I'm going to build this, that, and the other, and then you log in the other one and you're like, I'm still on iron on here. I've got nothing, and it's just frustrating. I think I'd play like. I'd probably have like a patron world as well as do the TB stuff if that was a thing, just because. That would make and particularly my ender chest. If I could fill my ender chest up in one world, not a creative world, obviously, a survival world, and then, because you wouldn't need mining deserts then. You wouldn't have to travel millions of miles. You just load up a desert world, fill up your ender chest with sand. That'd be brilliant. A world just for your farms. This is my farm world.
A persistent profile, like 7 Days kind of has something like that, but it's not really. I like how you said with, what is it, Terraria does that. But like 7 Days, you can join a world with a character. Yeah. And that character will always be that character. You could go back out to the main menu and change your character and go back into that world and you'll have nothing. Yeah. So if we could have characters that could move between worlds, think of the worlds as different planets, I'd love it. I'd absolutely love that.
Yeah. I wonder how simple that would be to achieve, because I think having different characters selected could be a complicated way of doing it. But I'm wondering if there could just be like you could tag, let's say you could tag a world with a particular tag. Okay, let's say we're going to tag the Truly Bedrock main world as Truly Bedrock. We're going to tag its mining, like desert world for all the sand mining as a particular tag. We're going to do this other world that we've got for Truly Bedrock, like the farm world as a different tag. And because they've got the different tags, whatever inventory you've got in one of them when you join, it would copy that over to the other ones. Does that make sense? So we'd have to store that. Probably, I wouldn't be able to store it locally. It'd still have to store it on... I suppose it'd have to store a copy locally, but then if you decided you were going to play on a different device and log in, it would have to cloud sync. You would have to cloud sync your stuff based on those tags. So in your like cloud profile, you would have a Truly Bedrock tag, and that would attach your inventory to that. That wouldn't be too much of an effort. I know they're never going to do it, but that would be amazing. That's doable with an add-on.
I'd pay for that feature. I'd pay for that feature.
We could do that now. We can do that with the Bedrock API, server API. It only work on servers, not single player worlds, but you can send and receive information to like other websites and other APIs, like I was talking about in the bonus show.
So could we have this? Could we have the Truly Bedrock survival world, and then we could have the Truly Bedrock mining world, and be able to jump our character between the worlds without destroying our main world? Yeah.
And you could say, and even on that world, you could be like, okay, we're going to have one of those, we're going to have a custom biome pack on this. So that's just, the whole world's just desert, right? So that's all we want in this world. We just want a big old desert world so we can just mine for sand and stuff like that. And we're going to have this world, which is just a big old water world. And imagine, that'd be so cool. And it's doable. Because I could store all of our inventories on on the Truly Bedrock website server, and then it would just, when you logged in, take a second to check who you are and give you the right inventory back.
I love this. I love this. And then you could even, if you wanted to do like other spin-off series and stuff like that too. Even for
Do you know what? I know not for Truly Bedrock, because I don't think they'd ever go for it in a million years, but I'm seriously contemplating a new way of doing patron servers. The only problem is that the beta API system is so unreliable right now, because literally every single minor update, they don't just add new stuff to it, but they change everything. Like you will see in this week's updates, I don't normally talk about it in the change logs, but like they'll just rename functions to new things, and they'll go, oh, we've removed this because we don't use that, so you have to use this instead. So they're just changing stuff so regularly, it's totally unstable. But when that's at a point where they've gone like, yeah, we're happy with that now, it's not changing. I would love to do that. I'd love to do it anyway. You just have to keep on top of it.
Yeah.
But you know, that one update had come out and all of a sudden it didn't work and no one's inventory copied over and everyone ender chests are empty. Oh, I don't think you can look in ender chests either with it. You can only do your player inventory. So, well, I suppose that's fine.
No, you should be able to. Or is that going to be attached to the world file? Because I know when you used to use programs to edit players' inventories,
you can do it with that.
The
API won't let you in the ender chest. I tried that with my chest sorting add-on.
Well, do you really got to get inside of it? All you got to do is copy the data.
Yeah. Yeah, with what you have to do is you have to... it doesn't have an ender chest attached to the player in the API system. You have to, in order to access the inventory of a chest, you have to interact with that chest or tell it a block location that happens to be a chest. And then it'll tell you what's inside that chest, but it won't tell you what's inside an ender chest because it's not linking it to the player. It's just looking at it as a block in the world. So if they add, I mean, you never know, in the future, they might add ender chest access to players. They recently added the ability to actually see a player's armor slots and in the offhand thing, so it's not impossible. But I kind of think that's relatively unlikely because they generally base the work that they're doing on what people are doing with the marketplace. And you don't tend to get many adventure maps that use ender chests.
So if you had all your stuff in the ender chest on Truly Bedrock, you wouldn't be able to access that ender chest on, say, the mining world.
No, but you'd have your full inventory.
Your player's inventory. Right, so you could transfer stuff via your inventory still. That's still worth it.
Yeah, I think it's still worth it. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, that's still worth it. Yeah,
an inventory full of shulker boxes is a lot of space.
Well, then on top of that, you can leave a chest in the mining world, log out, log back onto TB, empty out your inventory, log back onto the other world, fill back up your inventory with more shulkers.
I'd really like him to get to a point where, like on Java Edition, you can go through a portal and go into a different server. You know, there's it's not obviously vanilla Java, but like through mod packs, you can have a server which has got like a lobby, and you go through one server, one thing, and it'll just put you on a totally different server. That would be great in Bedrock. I'd love that, the ability to be able to link that. And I thought when I first heard of, do you remember the webhook thing that everyone was talking about? I thought that's what it was. But it wasn't. I was really sad when I found out that's not what it was. Oh, I could just transfer money to another server, but no. But yeah, no, that would be a game changer for me. Because can you imagine, like, so again, I know I'm going over this again, but I'm very excited. So when you launch your patron world on your server, instead of, you've got your main server, the main overworld server, but you've got your mining desert one, you've got a farming one that people can muck about in. So you launch all three of those. There's a bit more to update each time, but the other ones wouldn't need any add-ons or anything in, because they're just, I mean, you wouldn't even need daylight cycle on for the mining desert one, or even mob spawning, you know.
No.
Oh, man.
No, because it's just a resource gathering world. All your builds and all your serious stuff would be on the serious world. You're just providing another world to get resources in where it's not.
So you're keeping your main world file size down. You could even have an exploring world. You could have one that's like, okay, so we're actually having a world border on this one. You're not allowed out of the world border on this one to keep the file size down and the lag down. But there's the exploring world. Go wherever you want. It's got a smaller render distance. It's got less RAM on it. But go because you're only ever going to have one or two people on there at once, so it hardly needs any resources.
Yeah, and if people choose to build something on there, but sorry, that's your loss. This world will not be saved.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to get reset regularly because everyone's going to nick all the sand.
Yep.
Yeah. And
I love that.
Man. Yeah, I really like that as well. Right, anyway, that's enough of us getting very excited about something that's probably not going to happen. It's time to move on. It was you next, wasn't it? Or was it me?
It's me with Ducky McQuack here that says, "Hello, Foxy and Slack. I recently stumbled upon mention of Slack's cheaty iron farm in a Facebook group. I am now looking for a zombie spawner so that I can build one. I've been a podcast fan since the Minecraft Live and get excited whenever I hear mention of you guys in the wild."
Amazing.
Well, thank you very much.
Wow. So a Facebook chat group was talking about your iron farms. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Ducky McQuack was our latest patron, by the way. So thank you very much, Ducky McQuack, for that. Well, I don't know.
Yes,
Ducky McQuack, even. I don't know. Might have to beep that out. I think I just said a word I shouldn't have said. Jeez. Moving on. Okay, Ducky McQuack is back. Saying, question for Foxy. Someone recently told me that I can use your one-player sleep without losing achievements, without any special workarounds. Evidently, what the warning about losing achievements is false. It won't remove them. I wanted to implement this on my realm, but I have several members to who achievements are very important, so I was hoping you might be able to confirm or deny this. Regardless, thank you for all the hard work you do for the community. As it stands, and as it always has been, and probably how it always will be with Mojang, any add-on or change to a vanilla world, whether that's adding cheats to the world, enabling experiments, or putting on an add-on, not a resource pack, but an add-on, because that can change your world, will disable achievements. There are ways to get around this. We do it on Truly Bedrock every season. I do it on my patron world, so my patrons can still get achievements because I consider the add-ons that we're using not to be world affecting. But we shouldn't. I don't know if it's against the terms and conditions or anything like that. Xbox probably wouldn't be very happy about it because that's what it comes down to. But what I would say, Ducky McQuack, is that if your members are saying that achievements are very important, you can just remind your members that they can get achievements on any world at all. And whilst they might absolutely love playing on your realm, there's no reason they can't go off and start a little single-player world just to get achievements on and do all their achievements on there. You don't have to build anything. You don't have to mine anything. Well, you do, obviously, for some of the achievements. So it's not like you're going to have to spend hours and hours and hours grinding in that world to get the achievements, as most of the achievements are relatively simple to get. So
you can even download pre-built worlds where all you have to do is walk from position A to position B to position C and unlock all the achievements instantly.
That's true, but I think if the people who achievements are very important, they're probably the sort of people that want to do them correctly. And they'll probably want to do them in your realm because that's their world that they call home. But you've got to make a decision. What's better for the server? Having people being able to sleep and not just having continual nighttime, or, one or two people not being able to get achievements. And unfortunately,
you may lose your achievements, but at least it now still keeps track of your player stats.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't, and please don't ask what the workaround is because I can't tell you because that would be wrong of me to do so. So I'm sure you can find out online.
Yep. Thanks on YouTube. It's really good about that. Clover Blonde's up next. It says, "Hey guys, I started listening to your podcast this week while spending 20 plus hours driving in the U.S. to and from various states. I started listening to prep for starting to be a YouTube streamer. You all have really helped me get through my drive and really inspired me to take a leap and start recording. Anyways, I hope you all are doing well." And then Clover Blonde died to an unexpected creeper while comparing Minecraft to
Biltmore.
Biltmore?
Yeah, I don't know what Biltmore is. There was actually a sentence in that one that I deleted because I thought Biltmore was a spelling mistake, but they basically said they were going to build Biltmore. And I looked online for what Biltmore was, and the only thing I could find was a hotel. So, Clover Blonde, if you could get back to us and let us know what Biltmore is, I'd be very interested in that. But I'm really glad that you're enjoying the podcast and that you're going to, take a step into streaming and recording. Good luck.
Good luck with that. Good luck and have fun.
Yeah. Our last piece of feedback is from Inhuman. It says, "Hi guys, I just wanted to pop in and say thanks for the podcast. I've been listening for a month and had a blast so far. It's strange to hear you guys having a Minecraft burnout when I'm so fresh and still very much in the honeymoon phase. I play with my 7-year-old daughter in peaceful mode and the game has completely captured my imagination. She showed me one of Foxy's videos on YouTube and I followed you guys to the podcast from there. You have such a great chemistry. Love Slack's sass and Foxy's tell it how it is attitude. Hopefully a bit of the Minecraft magic comes back for you guys. I have one minor suggestion. Minecraft has so much complexity. Would it be possible to add a very short tips section for newbies like myself? I understand most of your listeners are likely seasoned veterans, but there are so many little tricks and building ideas that are easy to miss. I feel like a few tips along the way would benefit many. Cheers for the laughs. Keep it up. Sorry for the word count. No problem, Inhuman. I'm glad you're having a great time, and thank you very much for checking us out and checking out my YouTube channel. I'm glad your daughter enjoys my videos. Do you know what? We've had a few people ask us for tips and tricks in the podcast. It's something I've thought about. I think even Stitch Fix asked for it at one point, which meant we're definitely not going to do it. But yeah. I think it would be good to have like a this week's tip. I think that would be a really nice thing to do just to throw into the podcast some way. But the problem is, and call me lazy, but the problem is I can't think of any tips. I've been racking my brain. I obviously did these docs. I did them about 2 hours before we started the podcast today. So I've read all of these pieces of feedback. And I was thinking from then, what tips could I give? What tips could I give? Make sure your hopper's pointing in the right direction.
No, tip of the day from Slack. You can make a furnace out of deep slate as well as blackstone and cobblestone. There you go.
Well, there you go. Mm-hmm. But not normal stone.
No.
Because why would you be able to do that?
Look, you got 3 different variations. Yep.
Yeah, so I think a tip of the week would be absolutely fantastic, but I'm going to come back to the community on this one and say, if you want us to add a tip of the week section into this, then I'm more than happy to curate a list of tips, but you've got to send them in. And I don't want them on the Discord so everyone can see them. So jump onto the website, theblockupdate.com, go onto the feedback form. There's an other section on there. So you can basically, when you go to leave a post on there, it's got feedback, questions, wish list, bug date, or other. Go into other and drop your tips in there. Make sure they're real tips. Don't make it up. Don't give us a load of rubbish that doesn't exist. Put your tips in there, and if we get a bunch, I'll read one every week. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay.
This week's tip of the week is brought to you by blah, blah, blah. And they say blah, blah, blah. Yep,
yeah.
I like it.
No, I'm not giving them credit.
Well, all right, then. This week's tip from the block update.
From me that I thought of. No, of course, we'll give you credit. Okay, just coming back to that feedback again. So you mentioned about the burnout and the magic of Minecraft. For the first time in ages, I got a bit excited about Minecraft this week. So I was driving in the car, as I do, going to pick Jack up. So it's a nice 2 hours sat in the car. And I started listening to music for the first time in years, starting to listen to music again. So I have a priority. When I'm in the car, I have priority number 1 is just silence so I can think. Priority number 2 is podcast, in case there's a podcast that I want to listen to. But generally speaking, I only listen to really 1 or 2 a week. So I don't normally have that many available to listen to. And priority number 3 is always, I've never listened to music in the car because it irritates me. And I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent before I get to where I'm going. So I have Apple Music. It comes free with my phone plan. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I used to have, years ago, when you could get iTunes on the PC and it was all good. And I used to rip all my CDs to it. And I had thousands upon thousands of songs. And I had them all organized into playlists and albums and things like that. And it was great. And on my phone, in fact, I had a podcast. I had an iPod at one point, but then I got an iPhone, one of the early iPhones, and the the iTunes app on there was great because it would sync with your playlist. So all your music was there. Obviously, it was downloading it. It's not going through the cloud, but it was all there and you could listen to it. And when you plugged it in the car, it worked. But now I use, even without the CarPlay app, just trying to use through Android, Apple Music, it's rubbish. You can't find anything. None of my playlists are there anymore. None of my stuff. It's got all the albums, but so I'm in the car and I'm thinking, right, I really want to listen to this album. So you go to library and it just shows you like the latest 2 things you've listened to. So that's no. So you pull over somewhere and you grab your phone and you go to the Apple app and you go to your library and it's like, okay, you've got artists, albums, singles, this, that, and the other. So you go, okay, I want artists. Then you go and you find the artists that you want to listen to. And then it just plays a random bunch of songs from the artist. No, I don't want a random bunch. I want an album. Okay, I'll go into albums, which are not organised by artist name. They're all organised alphabetically by album name. I don't know the name of the album. I know what the picture looks like. So you're flicking through all these albums for miles and miles and miles, trying to find the one that you want. You finally find it. You press play, and it shuffles it. I don't want it shuffled. Don't shuffle an album. An album's supposed to be played in the order it's supposed to be played in. Why are you shuffling this album? It drives me insane. And I can't make it not shuffle it. So anyway, what I ended up listening to out of all the things to listen to after I listened to a bunch of stuff in the wrong order that was winding me up, I was actually getting angry while I was driving because the songs were in the wrong order. And it sounds crazy, but it's my OCD kicking in. I like to listen to things in the right order. So I went on to, do you remember TV Season 2? I did those silly Mr. Onion videos with the Disney songs. The sing-along one. So we had the one from Aladdin where they were going to the moon, and we had the one from Frozen and one from Moana and that sort of stuff. Well, I really like from the Aladdin live action movie, not the original one, but the original Aladdin film's way better than the live action one, but the soundtrack from the live action film, there's a song called is it just One Jump? It's the second song on the album, which is all about him like being a street rat and escaping from the bad guys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but I love that song. And it was started from when Oliver used to listen to it. He used to really enjoy listening to that. And I really liked it. So I was listening to this song and I was thinking, oh man, I want to make this in Minecraft. I want to do another Disney special. And I was thinking, I'm not going to give any details or spoilers because it's something I think I'm going to do. But I've got an idea on how I can turn that song into something really fun for a video. And that was the first time in ages that I've got excited about doing not only storyline in my videos, but also about playing Minecraft in general. So yeah. Anyway, that was a very long way to get there, wasn't it? Jeez. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Perfectly fine.
Okay, so if you want to send us feedback, you can do by emailing us at news@theblockupdate.com, fill it in the form on the website, which is theblockupdate.com now. The minecraftupdate.com website still exists, but please use the other one so we can turn the other one off at some point, or join in the Discord, and all the links are in the description below. It's time for the news, Slack.
News. Right, how much news do we got this week?
Not very much. Not very much.
Not very much.
But there has already been a hotfix for Java Edition. Java Edition are already on 1.20.1. And the reason for that is because there was a disk permissions related crash, which was not ideal. There was a couple of things wrong with the realms on Java Edition, which obviously is money making for them, so they don't like it when those things are broken. There was the game locking up after not joining a server properly, and another problem with chunk generation. So they fixed those, and there's been a hotfix on there. And that's it, but obviously enough for them to warrant pushing out an update for that. The next piece of news, Minecraft beta and preview 1.20.10.23. And I know what you're all thinking, peeps. I know exactly what you're thinking. What happened to 1.20.10.22? You tell me. It's not in the chain. It's not in the list. Didn't exist. They had a week off and decided to skip a version number for some reason. So there you go. And this has got some interesting improvements. So, recipe unlock in Slack. We talked in depth about that last week, about how we hate it, right? You remember?
Yep.
Okay, so they have basically changed something which will make it mildly less irritating, but not actually anything that we wanted. So what it was doing was, so let's say you chop down a birch tree, it would then pop up telling you could make sticks, right? And then you would chop down a spruce tree and it would pop up and tell you can make sticks. And then you would chop down a dark oak tree and it would pop up and tell you can make sticks, because you can make them out of all of those different materials. So they've realized
that's not good.
That's annoying, right? And they're turning it off, so you only get one notification per item that you can craft. Now, before we carry on with this changelog, do you remember last week we were talking about would it be a per world thing or is it per player, like achievements?
Yeah.
Now, I played with it. I went into the preview and I checked it out, and then I checked out how they were storing the information in the level database. It is per world, and it is per... So when you load up a world, you chop down a tree and it pops up just like it does in Java Edition. Hey, you can make sticks with this now. Immediately, the first thing that was incredibly frustrating was that you've got that recipe book there. Then there's a toggle on it, right? And the toggle is on for the things you can craft, off for the things you can't craft. And you would hope when it was the things you can't craft, even with recipe unlocking, it would still give you a list of everything. But it's not. So it's empty. There is literally nothing in it. And it just makes the game look broken. Like, you got this whole recipe book thing there. So bearing in mind, in Java Edition, when you go into your inventory for the first time in a new world, it doesn't show you the recipe book. That's an optional extra. It shows you your inventory full screen. On Bedrock, it's always there. You can't hide it. And it's empty. You know, the tabs across the top for like search, this, that, and the other, all missing, not there, gone. And I'm like, it just feels broken. So that really annoyed me. So then I gave myself a few items, went down and chopped a couple of trees, obviously did it in survival so that I could make sure that I didn't know if it would work in creative or not. And I closed the world down and I opened up the level database in a file. And so basically within the player, for each player on there, there's a new little tab that says recipes. And for each recipe in the game, every single recipe in the game can be toggled on or off. So there isn't a big list of all the recipes waiting to be unlocked. It'll do each one as you find it. But over time, like you were saying, if you've got let's say you've got a really big server with 100 players on it, over time, every single one of those players is going to have up to, I guess, how many? Let's have a look how many recipes there are. I reckon there's about 1,000 recipes in Bedrock Edition. So, you know, you're looking at 100,000 new lines of text in there, which won't be much, but it will be enough to cause some form of an impact. Now, just bear with me. I'm just going to check how many recipes there are. 1 second, please, peeps. Don't tune out. I will be with you momentarily, and I'm probably way off with 1,000. Well, according to this one, there's 79. Oh, no, that's not right. Oh, that's just the ones in 1.20. Hang on. Let me give you the whole list. Would be useful, wouldn't it? That's going to take me slightly longer, but I'm nearly there. There we go. I found it. There are 1,381 recipes.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. And you got to unlock them all. How do you know when you've unlocked them all? How do you know that you can craft everything? When do you know you've got to a point in the game where you've done it? You've got everything there is to get.
You won't.
You won't. So I don't like it. I still don't like it.
No, I don't like it neither, because that means there could be secret hidden recipes that don't show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, let's take tier 2 rockets and tier 3 rockets. They don't show up in your crafting recipe. When you used to be able to make the notch god apples, whatever you call them, they didn't show up in the crafting recipe. You had to do it manually.
Yeah.
I don't like that, because that means there could be secret recipes in the game that don't. I really don't like that.
No.
That should be something that we could turn on and off.
And what about recipes? I don't know. I don't like it.
How's that going to affect custom recipes?
Yeah, exactly. Is custom recipes going to work? And is that like, because if we've got my mini blocks thing on the server, that could be another like 1,000 recipes to add on there. I don't know. Don't know if that's going to work. I don't like the fact that it's all or nothing. I wish if we've got a toggle on the recipe book, make it toggle, here's the recipes you've found, but also for people that aren't brand new at Minecraft, here's all the normal recipes. You know?
How about making it a world setting? Unlock all recipes by default, on off.
Yeah, exactly. I know in again in Java Edition they've got a knowledge book. So basically, most servers will give each player a knowledge book, and they'll just I think you eat it, and then you just learn all the recipes. But every single one of them pops up on the screen really quickly. But it's still going into the database. Just make it toggleable. We don't want recipe unlocking. Get rid of it. Just give us the recipes.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No.
So.
Well, next they're going to take away the crafting book. No. Let's go back to the old way. It feels like we're stepping backwards with this.
It does, and for new, like if you're in let's say that obviously this is an experimental right now, but let's say this comes out of experimental in 1.20.40. We're still going to be on this season of Truly Bedrock. All of a sudden, we're going to log in and not have any crafting recipes. So we're going to have to.
So does that mean I got to go get all? Oh my God! If I want to make stone brick, you got to tell me I have to go mine stone again.
You don't have to mine it. You just have to hold it
in my base.
You just have to go through all your sugar boxes and pick up all your items to learn it all.
That's horrible.
Or just because the crafting recipe probably for most of them anyway, and when you're going to be crafting something, generally what ingredients you need. You're just going to have to put up with constant pop-ups every time you go to build something. Which if you're starting a brand new world, it's not going to be too bad because those pop-ups are going to be, there'll be a while in between each one. But if you just get that enabled halfway through a world, it's going to be just constant pop-ups for the first few days as you start unlocking them all. So
that's annoying.
Yeah. Okay.
Pick up gunpowder. New recipe unlocked. Pick up this. No.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine breaking one of the chests at a raid farm? How many recipes you could unlock?
Could you imagine? I know how to solve that problem. Just go bust a chest monster because we all have them.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ba-doom, 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 ba-doom. Recipe. No.
Okay. Right. Moving on from recipe unlocking then. They have fixed an issue with sneak and crawl. So another experimental toggle on the previews is the new sneak and crawl mechanics. And they fixed an issue that could cause players to automatically sneak while on ladders. Fixed a bug that could cause the player to get stuck at the top of a ladder while sneaking. And bunch of other stuff. Now it says they fixed an issue where legacy crawling was not working correctly with the sneak and crawl toggle turned off. So when the experiment wasn't even enabled, players weren't actually able to crawl properly. And crawling is when you end up in a one block gap, like you swim into a one block gap. So they've basically broken the current mechanics even without the experiment on. So that's useful. Oh, and apparently the short sneaking has now been de-experimentified, so it's no longer an experiment and is available in normal gameplay. They haven't said that about crawling, though. So I'm assuming that's part of it as well. I don't know.
So short sneaking, that's where you can walk under a trap door or something, yes?
Yeah, so if you can walk through a 1.5 block tall gap. So a block and a slab gap. Yeah, which is useful for getting away from zombies and things, to be fair. So how in the nether you put up your noob bars to stop the wither skeletons coming through, but all the skeletons and blazes and stuff can still get through. You can now, if you put that bar at 1.5 blocks up, nothing will be able to get through, but you'll still be able to go through.
The bottom two on this changelog really confused me.
Which one's that?
Well, the crawling animation is no longer triggered while gliding below blocks. Okay, so you're flying in the nether and you're flying right up against the nether roof.
Yeah.
So it's not going to put you into a crawling animation. Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But players can now be forced into sneak crawl state while flying.
Yeah, so what I think that's saying is if you're flying and you end up how if you were swimming and you ended up in a 1 block gap, you would just continue with the swimming animation. Whereas now it will give you a crawling animation instead. So it knows when that's happening. I think it's just saying it'll do that from flying as well. So if you fly into a 1 block gap and I guess your flight stops, then you're going to be crawling.
Well, that literally takes me to my next question. What happens if you're trying to like thread the needle?
I know
Some electric
we
courses
covered
have
this before,
smaller and
didn't we?
smaller.
Because
Yeah.
the one changelog said it would force you to crawl or sneak, because this was before crawling was in. It would force you to sneak if you went in a lower than like 2-block gap. And we were saying about that, and then it reverted that. So I don't know. I'm interested to see about that. I would assume if you're flying through and you have momentum, then it won't change it. But maybe they've thought about that. Maybe they haven't. We'll only see by playing it.
Or is that going to be like hinged upon your player's hitbox? Like, so are you going to have to thread the needle like perfect?
Yeah,
so that your hitbox doesn't touch any of the blocks, doesn't clip them.
Jeez, we'll soon find out. Jeez, okay. Not a great deal of useful stuff there, but this is one that I picked up. In fact, in my Bugdate this week, I've actually put down, as I suppose I'll talk about it now because it's coming up in a minute anyway. During the stream weekend, I went, no, it was the one after stream weekend. No, stream after stream weekend, I went to a bastion and a nether fortress to find armor trims. And normally, I don't have any problem at all spam clicking with my sword and keeping things like piglin brutes and magma cubes and wither skeletons at bay. But I noticed, even though it was making the sound of me like chopping really fast because I was spam clicking as fast as I could, it wasn't actually having any effect. It was really slow. And I even said during the stream, I said, it feels like they've added in like a delay between when you can chop. And I normally, remember when me and you went around that nether fortress, I had my Smite 5 Wither Smasher sword, and I was just chopping wither skeletons left, right, and centre. And we didn't get hit once by the wither skeletons, did we?
No.
I was getting hit by, I would say, 7 out of 10 wither skeletons hitting me before I hit them, doing the same thing. And I died 3 or 4 times to a brute because I couldn't click faster than the brute, which was really weird. So that was
that feels. See, my paranoid brain immediately goes, that feels like they're starting to play with combat mechanic changes.
It does, but then there's this changelog here saying mouse input, improved handling of simultaneous mouse clicks triggering each individual associated action response. And in last week's changelog, that something I didn't read out was that basically it was to do with the add-ons and the block API, but they've basically been fiddling with how the mouse interact was working. And this is something I noticed making a couple of these add-ons that I've been working on, particularly the offhand one. So I talked last week about a before state and an after state and interacting with items, right? Do you remember? So
Yep.
When, let's say I go to place a block in the game, and I get it to basically print out to the console just so I can debug it while I'm doing it every time it detects that. If I hold the mouse button down for any longer than a split second, I'll get like 9 or 10 of them because it's registering that click loads and loads of times until it's actually placed the block. Whereas realistically, because I'm only doing that action once, it shouldn't matter how long I'm holding that mouse button down for. It should just register it once. And I'm pretty sure that change in last week's changelog was saying that's what they've done. And I think that's probably what's caused this problem. Maybe.
Wouldn't that break linear placing on Bedrock?
No, it doesn't. No, you'd think it would, but it doesn't. It's bizarre how it works, to be honest with you. Because as soon as you place the block, it stops. It's done. But it was causing me problems because I only wanted to detect one click, but it was effectively detecting like lots and lots of clicks. It wasn't. It was just because it's as far as the game was concerned, you started interacting with that block and you're still interacting with that block, but you haven't actually interacted with it yet. So that was the problem. So it kind of made sense, but it was kind of annoying, and I think that's what they're talking about here. But I might be wrong. Might be talking out of my rear end, Slack.
I guess we'll find out when it gets out there, won't we?
We will. In accessibility, text-to-speech narrator will now say / button when hovering over the / button in the chat screen. The default chat duration is now set to 10 seconds, while default toast duration remains at 3 seconds. So is that more or less? Have they turned down the chat duration there, or have they turned it up? 10 seconds seems like a long time.
That seems like a long time for something to be on screen.
Yeah, in your chat window.
Yeah.
There is a slider for that
And
now,
if you,
though, so not so bad.
well, that's good.
And
Yeah.
the text-to-speech narrator now reads item names when selecting items in the hotbar, so that'll be really fun.
That could get dangerous.
I just want to come back to what we said recently, that we've tried to very delicately talk around, visually impaired and audibly impaired people playing Minecraft. You don't need a text-to-speech thing for visual stuff, right? When you're selecting a sword in your hotbar, you don't need something to tell you it's a sword in your hotbar unless you're visually impaired, right?
That's it. Could be. I would say no, but then like some people have different.
Is this for reading? Is this for people that struggle with reading? I'm just trying to understand what the reasoning is for this. Because if you can see well enough to play Minecraft, you can see you clicked a sword, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe, but then there's people that's going to have color blindness, and we don't have colorblind filters put into the game.
That's very
and then
true.
We have somebody
green dye,
like, and I'm not
blue
trying
dye.
to call out Jen. I'm not trying to call out Jen here, but Jen has issue reading black and white together.
Right.
She has to wear special glasses for that.
Okay, so yeah, this is what I'm getting at. Who is this for? I'm not being awkward saying, that this doesn't suit anyone. I just don't know enough about these impairments and these issues to figure out who this is for. So that actually totally makes sense for colorblind people. Yeah, if you've got a whole row of dies in your inventory and you don't know which one's which, and you don't want to read it, maybe you have a reading issue as well, or maybe you're just young and you can't read. I don't know. It would be nice for it to be able to tell you what die it is. Well, I was just saying, in my mind, I was just thinking, well, I don't need to know the difference between my sword and my pickaxe because I can, even if I'm a little bit visually impaired, I can see it's a sword and a pickaxe. But no, that totally makes sense.
Another quick reference for that someone could find useful is in the situation where they switch to their pickaxe and say it reads out the name. Okay, so it says Silk Touch Pickaxe. If you named it, or it says Fortune Pickaxe. So I can think of a use in it for that.
But
or
it comes on screen for ages.
I know, but it comes on screen. Jen can't see that pop up.
No, okay.
Because
I see
it's
what
black
you mean.
on white.
Sorry. Yeah. I see what you mean about so the white text on the black background. Yeah.
She can't see it at all. So I don't know that she would use it, but I could see where it would be useful for some people.
Yeah. No, okay. Well, that makes sense. I still think there's more people that would, make benefit from subtitles than these things, but it is nice that they're doing something.
I totally agree with that. Subtitles, you figure that would be something that was already in the game, but it's not.
No, I know, it's so bizarre because I genuinely, I know sound like I'm moaning. I'm not. I'm just trying to understand. I'm so glad that they are doing accessibility things. The more accessibility stuff we can add to Minecraft, the better. My priority list is different. And my priority list is like, again, we spoke about it before. If you were, it sounds awful, doesn't it? I hate dancing around these things and standing on eggshells, but just to talk point blank, if you were actually blind, like fully blind, text-to-speech isn't going to help you play Minecraft because text-to-speech can't tell you where you're walking. It can't tell you if you've banged into something. It can't tell you if you're about to walk off the edge of a cliff. So realistically, you need to have some sort of visual, some sort of being able to see at some level, right? But if you're fully deaf, you can't play, you can't hear anything in Minecraft, but you can still play the game, but you can't hear monsters coming. You can't hear things going on. And I just think that's more important.
You just actually gave me a very strong opinion on that, and I didn't even realize that I had this opinion. It feels like they're pushing the text-to-speech because, let's say, their target audience can't read yet.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. That's why I was asking, what are these for? Is this for people that are too young to read?
That's what it feels like. That's
But
what it feels like. It doesn't feel like it actually deals with the accessibility issues of, say, older players that can't, it does feel like it feels targeted, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not.
anyway,
Or
regardless,
maybe
we're
we're
not
just
saying
taking
they
it that
shouldn't
way.
do it. They should absolutely do it for everybody. Every single impairment and disability that they can cover, they
Yes.
should. But I'm just really frustrated that they aren't even talking about subtitles. That's what I don't get.
Yeah.
Because it realistically isn't a difficult thing to add into the game. From my perspective, I don't think it is.
I can't even think of a game that's come out in the last 10 years that doesn't include subtitles by default. You can't even hardly find a YouTube video that doesn't even have the automatic ability to turn on subtitles.
Most
So
games
why is a
now,
game
when you
like
start a game,
Minecraft
have got subtitles on by default.
Right. So why is Minecraft one of the biggest selling games out there and one of the most popular games in the world? Why is the version that's on every platform available out there not got subtitles?
Well, there's two things to this. Most games have got subtitles on for default for dialogue. I don't know many games that have subtitles for monsters making noises to the left or the right, or somebody slashing a sword, or someone landing on a block or breaking a block, or you know what I mean. You don't normally get
That's fair.
in-game sound effects being subtitled, whereas you do dialogue, and there's no dialogue in Minecraft. So you could argue there's no need for subtitles on that basis. But having seen how useful they are, not just for people with hearing issues in Java Edition, but just generally people playing Minecraft, it's actually really handy to have that on screen.
Yeah.
I wonder if Go on.
Go ahead.
No.
Well, I was just curious. Something I was thinking: are they using different devices as the excuse not to bring in subtitles?
No, I don't think so. Maybe they may be talking about screen real estate. Maybe that might be an issue, but I think there's ways to do it which wouldn't be too much of an issue. Most devices these days, even phones, have got a relatively big screen on. So, I wonder if it's an issue because sounds all come from the resource pack side of Minecraft. So
Yes.
when an entity is in the world, an entity, generally speaking, doesn't actually make a noise, but it has ambient sound effects that play on a loop at a certain delay. And it can be a random delay, but there'll just be something there to say that the zombie makes a noise every between 5 and 10 seconds. So the game technically doesn't know when something's making a noise, like a mob. Obviously, the game at some point or other is playing that noise, and I guess they'd have to find a way to hook into where that is. But it's not like, oh, here's a zombie, here's the entity of the zombie and all the things going on with that, and it's just made a noise. It doesn't work like that. It's totally separated. Whereas actions like breaking a block or stepping or landing on something, that you would think, well, when those things are happening because we already have triggers in the game for those things happening. The skulk sensor goes off when those things are happening. Skulk sensor doesn't go on when a zombie makes a noise, but it does when you're interacting. So we can pick up on certain interactions. So even if they just added in subtitles for those interactions, because I could program that in with an add-on to pick up on those interactions without a problem and just put that in the chat, So why that's not a difficult thing for them to do, to just drop that into a UI overlay. So why not? And they don't have to do the whole thing. Why not start somewhere and at least show us that they're trying?
Exactly. I mean, how many times do we see a bug fix this with this feature? You've seen it before. But we've added the skulk sensors. Okay, they brought them out. Bedrock Edition was not the same as Java, but we're getting updates on it. How about you actually just at least get the system out there with what you got working, and then you can add to it?
Yeah. Yeah, and if it doesn't work on smaller screens, then just make it work for some. Give some people an opportunity. Start somewhere.
Yeah, I would agree on that.
Yeah. Okay, right. Okay, let's get to the end of this changelog. So there was an issue where it wasn't possible to get out of a minecart onto a horse or get from one horse to a camel without getting off first. They fixed that. Mushrooms are now able to spawn on fallen tree trunks, which I guess could make for some nice little bits of ambience as you were wandering around a mesa, or not a mesa, what they call taiga. The recipe for crafting barrels with sticks was removed because they took that out of the game but left the recipe in there, so that was useful. And the one that I picked up on was that boats now retain the ability to carry passengers when upgraded to tails and trails. So, not yet, peeps. This is a preview. But when 1.20.10 comes out, if you're still playing 1.19 and you upgrade straight to that, then your things won't get out your boats. So that's good. However, when we get to the Bugdate, you'll see there's still a massive problem with that. So we'll get to that in a bit. And there's a bunch of other things. Now, remember earlier on I was talking about how they change things in this API regularly?
Yes.
So this tells you here all of the things that's basically come out of the API to become stable, which is nice. But then we get to things like this. So they've just removed this function altogether. So if you were using that function, it's gone now. Can't use it. They've removed this property altogether. So if you were using that property there, the spawn dimension property, sorry, I forget people listen to this and don't just watch the videos. That's gone. So, and then they've renamed the function set default spawn to set default spawn location. So, and look, all of these things here are all changed, added, or removed. And so every single time there's a minor update, it just breaks everything. So all of these things have been updated, changed, or removed, which means that the beta APIs, whilst they're so powerful and so good, there's very little point in doing anything with them unless it's been put into the stable stuff, which has very little stuff in it because it generally takes a long time to get it into stable. But yeah, it's a pain, basically. Jeez. Right.
There's one more change there that we didn't really cover that I thought's a good change. The fixing the issue where mobs did not have a correct collision box when spawning. As of right now, in the current version that's out there, you can't block spiders from spawning and stuff like that in your mob farms. That actually fixes that.
Where was that? Oh, no.
That's under sneak and crawl.
Oh, was it? Okay, of course it was.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. Jeez. There was another thing on here for anybody that is technically minded. There's a whole bunch of things are slowly but surely coming out of the Holiday Creator Features experiments, which are most of the block stuff's come out now. A lot of the entity stuff has come out, and it was mainly just blocks and items that are in there, and a lot of the item stuff's already come out, and even more item stuff's coming out of there as well. So by 1.20.10, most of the things in the experimental features for custom items are going to be out, but not everything. So that's really nice because there's a lot of stuff with those custom items that can be done, such as making custom armor or mob heads or player heads or mini blocks and all that sort of stuff. And when it all comes out, you don't need to toggle experiments anymore, which would be nice. So that's good news.
Yeah. On items at the very bottom, do you have any idea what that bottom one is? Charge.
Lost it.
Change charge. Actually, it's at the very bottom. Scroll all the way to the bottom.
Change charge in action behavior in Minecraft shooter to match vanilla crossbow charge shooting behavior for a charged Minecraft shooter with an empty inventory offhand to successfully shoot the charged ammunition. Right. I've used Minecraft shooter you can give that to an entity and then you can tell it what projectile it would fire, and you can have like the snowman. The snowman is a Minecraft shooter that fires snowballs. But I think this is in relation to items. So this is for making things like custom bows and guns. You're not allowed guns in Minecraft, but you know what I mean. It's for basically an item that you're going to be using to launch a projectile. And it's basically, because you can charge them, they're not just pew, pew, pew. They're like the bow, you pull it back, or the crossbow, you reload it. Yeah. I think they're just saying that the charging behavior will work more like the crossbow now rather than the bow, which is a bit of an odd thing because I don't know if that means you'll charge it and then it'll lock in place and then you fire it afterwards with another click, or if it will just... I don't know.
Minecraft shooter. Charge my bow with a torch on the end of it, right?
Yeah. Very, very strange. Yeah, you can fire any, well, not any item really, but any projectile. Anything but you can make custom projectiles. So it's good for magic stuff and all that sort of things. Right. That is
Interesting.
the end of this week's news, peeps, which takes us into the Bugdate. But unfortunately, Slack, because it's so hot, I've been drinking like a fish, so I need another little break. Do you mind? Okay. The Bugdate, Slack.
Bugdate. Yes, I actually just added something to the Bugdate.
Oh, why don't you tell us all about it?
Well, I don't have a bug tracker on it or anything, but I've noticed that we were trying to make a mob switch on Slackville, and we were having zombies follow us, and we were putting them in boats, obviously, to take up the local density check, is more or less, so that we wouldn't get surface mobs in a certain area. And if you get more than just like 4 or 5 blocks away from a mob, they just completely lose aggro now.
Oh, really?
It's like they fiddled with the aggro, because before you could like run 20, 30 blocks away and they'd still chase you down.
Yeah.
Now you get just a few ahead. They just, where'd you go? It's like they just totally lost you.
What mob was it that was happening with? Zombies.
I haven't tried with anything else yet, but I noticed that when we were making that mob switch.
And this is in zombies. 120?
Yep, 120.
Allow me to check something, Mr. Lizard. I want to see if they've changed zombies in 120.
Okay.
No, zombies have not had a behavior pack update in 1.20. But let me bring up the behavior pack for all of you peeps watching the live show and you people watching on the thing at home, the video version of this. Jeez, if I can find it. There we go, zombie. Open that up. Jeez. Let's get rid of that. One moment, please. I'm doing admin. There we go. Let's slide that over there. Fine. Zoom in a bit so you can read it, and then we'll go to the docs. There we go. You can. It will probably still be very small for all of you guys. I'm sorry about that. But okay, if I scroll down a long way in here, there should be something called. No, I don't want shareables. Hang on, let's get rid of that. Jeez. There is nearest attackable target. Okay. So this is what controls what a zombie or any entity does to target another entity. So
yes,
for a zombie, it must be able to see the player, right? It's not one of those mobs that has to that can see it. Like some mobs, it says must see false, and that means they can basically detect you through walls and things like that. Reselect like targets witches, means it will pick up on a different target. It won't just lock onto one and that's it. Like an Enderman, I think locks onto one player and that's it. It won't reselect another one while it's with that. The player has to be within 25 blocks of it, and there must be 17 seconds with it so basically once it's seen a player, you can still hide behind something, but it'll take 17 seconds before it loses you, basically. But
it's not doing that.
But then you got these other things going on here. You see, they've got max distance on here, so it's basically saying if the mob that it's chasing is a player, a snow golem, or an iron golem, the max distance that it can detect it from is 35. If it's a villager or a wandering trader, it's 35, but it doesn't need to see them, so it can attack a wandering trader even if it can't see one. If a wandering trader was in 35 blocks of a zombie, it should be able to detect it, and same for a villager, which is why they can go knock down villagers' doors. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to see them, which makes sense. And for baby turtles, and they're not in water, it's 35 as well. So that's how it's working. But you're saying it's gone down to about 7 blocks.
Oh yeah, I can take a zombie down the tunnel and get like 7 or 8 blocks in front of it, not even get out of the way, and he'll just stop and just look around. That's it.
Very strange. Very strange. Yeah, so something's not right there. Something not right at all.
I'm curious if anybody else has noticed that. Yeah. Or if it's just something that I've noticed. So if you've noticed that in your world, anything with mobs like that, how about you leave some feedback? Would appreciate it.
Yeah, let us know. Okay, so my first bug is obviously what I mentioned about spam kicking. Spam clicking issues, which I talked about earlier. I don't really need to go any more detail than that. But yeah, I was trying to spam click attack with the skeletons and brutes, and it wasn't doing it anywhere near as fast as it did it in 1.19. But hopefully, like we saw in the preview changelog, hopefully that's been fixed. The other bug that I just thought about actually while we had that break was what's been flying around, and that was that somebody noted in a different Discord that I think you're in as well, that during the Ender Dragon fight now, if you die and drop your items on the floor, there's obviously a 5-minute despawn timer for your items. So you think, all right, I'll respawn back wherever I was. Maybe I forgot to put my bed at the end portal and I have to go all the way back to the end portal, get my tools out, get my spare equipment, get all equipped, and I'll go back in at my own leisure and my items won't despawn because those chunks aren't loaded, which is how it's always worked and how it absolutely 100% needs to work for the Ender Dragon fight. Yep. Right? Because you're not in that dimension. It has to work like that. However, it has been discovered that there is now a secret ticking area called Ender Dragon Fight Ticking Area, which means that the end island that the dragon is on in the end is now always loaded. It is like the spawn chunks in vanilla Minecraft. It is like the bug that we discovered years ago that still hasn't been fixed, whereas wherever a player logs into the game, those chunks will remain loaded. There is now a ticking area, a secret ticking area in the Ender Dragon area. So if you die, you have 5 minutes, regardless of how long it takes you to get back to the end to get there. So you need to have your items fully ready to go back in, have your bed spawn point right next to that end portal so you can jump straight back in and get there. You have no time to re-prepare. You just need to get straight back in, which is a problem. That's a big problem.
Yeah, well,
that's not a bug. That's intended. You don't accidentally put in an Ender Dragon ticking area.
No. So would farms work in that area?
Now, someone was saying that about their running furnaces, and apparently the furnaces didn't work still, which is odd for a ticking area, because normally with a ticking area, redstone works as well. So there's obviously some stuff going on behind the scenes there, and I believe this is because there were a lot of bugs with the Ender Dragon either respawning or not spawning. Do you remember in 1.19 when we started Truly Bedrock Season 5, half of the end crystals didn't spawn in? So I believe this is to try and solve some of those problems. It's basically a sticking plaster over a broken bone rather than actually, dealing with it properly. And it seems that this is a bit of an oversight that they haven't considered items. So... Yeah, Mr. Balrog in the chat there says, redstone won't work. I tried it already. So, yeah. Was it you, Mr. Balrog, that brought this to our attention? I can't remember who it was, but it's, a bit of an issue.
I'd be curious if you were to plant crops there, if they would grow. Even if the redstone didn't work, would the crops grow?
Would the village produce if it's an actual ticking area.
Exactly. So, would a village actually produce iron golems? Could you actually make an iron farm? What can and can't work in that area? Because that could be an interesting way to manipulate stuff.
It could, until you want to fight the dragon again.
Yeah, but if you... the dragon won't go down so low. So you could actually, if the ticking area encompasses the whole island, you could just go down underneath to a certain point and build farms underneath of it.
That's very true.
Or even if it's just like crop farms or stuff that needs to grow, or age copper or anything.
Yeah, copper aging in the end. There you go. There you go, Stitch Fix. We solved your problem for you. That's what you want to do. Build an copper aging farm in the end. You're welcome. Okay, that's our bugs. Obviously, we've got bugs from the community as well. If you think you found a bug in Minecraft Bedrock Edition, then please let us know by emailing us, filling in the feedback form, or joining our Discord and letting us know on there. And it's very handy if you do find a bug, if you can find the changelog to go with it, because we can put that on our website, and we can hopefully get more people to it and get these bugs fixed. And somebody that does have a changelog for us, it's the very first changelog that they've ever made, is Maribel Jade, who says, new bug, I can't find a bug report for it yet. You can no longer place coral blocks without a block under it, i.e. you can't place coral on the side of anything if there's an air gap under it. Couldn't find a bug report, but after some searching, so here you go, my first official bug report, and let's see if I can actually bring that up to show you guys. Jade's, hang on, wrong browser. Jade's amazing bug report is there. There you go. Well, see, you put a lot of detail and effort into that one, Jade. Yeah, you read the how to write a changelog properly and put about how to what you're supposed to do when you write a changelog. I'm not attacking you here, Jade, but this is what you'll get moaned at for not doing it, and I've been moaned at many times. What you're supposed to do is put in basically. There's some details on it how to do it somewhere, and I can't remember where it is.
Intended behavior, what happens,
basically how to replicate it. So what should the steps to reproduce it, what you expect to happen, and what actually happens. And if you don't put that in, they'll just ignore you. So, but basically, I thought you were talking about the fans, but you're talking about the actual block. So you're saying you can't place a coral block on the side of another coral block because it's not because there's air underneath it. That's so weird.
That's like the old you couldn't place jack-o'-lanterns without a block under them, or fence gates. That feels like a reversion.
That's really weird. Now, it's interesting, though, that in 1.20, along with a whole bunch of other blocks, Coral has gone through what was referred to when Java Edition went through it all as the flattening. So Coral blocks are no longer Coral with a data value of 0, Coral with a data value of 1, Coral with a data value of 2 for the different ones. It's now they've got a full name for it. So Coral has changed in the game because of that. So it's not impossible that they've not they've not considered
accident.
Yeah. Interesting. Thank you very much for that bug report, Jade. Rotated
Next
out.
We got rotated out face.
I'm just taking over Slack.
Bug or new intended behavior. I noticed that since 1.20 dropped, when adding an enchantment book to an item in the anvil, you can no longer pick the item up from the output slot to put it back into the first slot. To add another book instead, it pops into your inventory. It really breaks the flow of adding multiple enchantments to an item. No Jira report found.
Yeah. That's been in for a while now. It drives me nuts. You put something in an anvil, you put your book in, you put your item in, and you go to click that item, and instead of it being stuck to your mouse, which you would expect, it just snaps straight back into your inventory. And it's so jarring because it makes the, when your anvil breaks and the UI disappears, and it's quite jarring. It's like that.
Yep.
Because you still get that it's been enchanted, but you're like, where's my item? And no, it's just in your inventory. It's weird. I don't know why that's a thing, but that's been around since 1.19 at least, maybe even earlier.
Very
than that.
annoying.
Yeah. Find a bug report or make run rough. We need it.
Yep.
Okay. Purple Hoser says, hey, Foxy and Slack, my book report for this week has to do with loading into the world. It takes a minute and then says appearance is taking a long time to load. Couldn't find a bug report. I'm not even sure if it's new, but yeah, it's annoying. And I think it was Squirrelicious replied in the Bugdate chat for that one, saying it happened to them as well, but just only for a split second. So obviously you normally get like generating terrain and this, that, and the other, but it's saying appearance is taking a long time to load. Do you think that's when, we've talked about a few times, you can be in the world but not in the world?
Yeah.
So do you think they've just like actually got a bit of text for that now to suggest that you're getting into the world and it's taking a while?
Maybe that would be nice if it actually appearance, aka your player's appearance, is not loading in yet. That would be a nice change because you can die before you even get into the world right now. It's kind of like the same thing that happens when you go through a portal. The mob can kill you on the other side before you even load through the portal.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. So I don't know what would take your appearance a long time to load, but there you go. A bit of a weird one. Again, Purple Hoser, if you can't find a bug report, then make one, and then we can get these things sorted.
Next up, we got Ozzy, and they say, got a bug report. Whenever I tried accessing my realm, a window saying the subscription expired would pop up. Since I didn't remember seeing a charge notification from it, I went through the process of renewing. When I was done, I had 2 realm options. Turns out Minecraft convinced me of acquiring a second realm subscription. By this point, I can access both realms, but I don't need to. I opened a refund request on the forced recent purchase since the original subscription did renew about 2 weeks ago. So the bug is Realms is saying they didn't renew and locking you out of them until you purchase a second subscription.
Oof.
Yeah, that's a big oof. Now, I wonder if that had something to do with a minor change that I had noticed. When you actually go to click on a realm now, or when you go to create a new world, it says create realm server. Mm-hmm. It
Yeah.
doesn't say just realm or anything like that. Now, I wonder if that maybe caused issues.
Maybe they do. They were always doing work on Realms. We know who was in charge of Realms as well, don't we, Slack? Good friend of
Yes, we do.
ours. So I could pass that on to him, but he will want a change log, Aussie, not a change log, a bug report. But yeah, that's a bit of a problem. That could be what Slack said. It could also just be your client not like. There's been a lot of problems, and it always seems to happen at the beginning of a new update. Xbox Live has real big problems sending information. Sometimes you'll like not be able to get into a server, and it'll say not authenticated. Sometimes it just won't sign you in. It could well be that, and also the Bedrock Edition UI. It gets updates all the time without you having updates in your game. So like your marketplace button at the bottom of the play screen will change, and sometimes they can even add in whole new like achievement screens and stuff like that you didn't have before when they're doing A/B testing. So some people, like when the new achievement stream came out, a lot of people got it before other people. So they're often sending you stuff back and forward. So it might be that they tried to send through a file to your client and it didn't work properly, so therefore you weren't seeing the new stuff. There's a lot of things it could have been. It sounds like you were pretty unlucky, but if anyone else has seen that or encountered that, then yeah, we definitely need to let people know about that. So even if it's not happening to many people, you should still file that as a bug report, Aussie, because if you don't, like, look how many already, just in this week's one, Rotated Owlface, Purple, and you have all said, I've looked for a bug report, but I can't find one. If you're looking for them, so are other people. And if the bug reports aren't there, and people are looking for them because they're having the same bugs, don't wait for someone else to put the bug report in, because that means that people are experiencing bugs that no one can be bothered to make a bug report for.
And then, let's say you put in a bug report and the bot or somebody flags it as a duplicate, at least you know where to go now.
Yeah, so I know it takes a few minutes to do it, and it's a pain, but it's worth doing. It is worth doing, and we'll get to one in a minute, actually, that was a duplicate. In fact, I'm going to read that now just to give you an example.
Yep.
So you can do Tiny Raccoon in a minute, okay?
Yep.
So Morph North says, hey guys, I realised a bug today, but they closed it as a duplicate. However, this isn't about mob ejection issue as per the track ticket. It's about not being able to get into boats without destroying them and replacing them. Lots of the duplicated issues listed there relate to my issue, but the main ticket is purely based on the mob ejection issue. Hope both your issues resolved within this. So basically, Morph North has found that, the mobs were getting ejected by boats. Now, the boats themselves are then still completely unusable because as far as the boat is concerned, it's still got a rider in it, so you can't get in it. So you have to break the boat to get in the boat. So they've then gone and found that, they've looked for a bug report that's specific to that, not found it. And then one of the moderators on the Jira, and bear in mind, most of them are volunteers, has looked at it and gone, oh, it's the same as that one, so we'll just link it as a duplicate. And they do that sometimes, and it's okay to then respond to them. There's a whole comment section on the bottom of the Jira. It's okay to respond to them and say, hey, I understand you think this is a duplicate, but it's not because of this, that, and the other. If you want to avoid that happening, and I'm just going to bring up these two bug reports to show you. So the first one was this one. You've dropped a video in there, which is great, but you haven't put in the correct description. Again, you haven't put in the process of doing it. And they've gone, oh yeah, thanks for it. Someone's looked at that. Bearing in mind, they see thousands of bug reports every day, and they've gone, boat 1.20. Oh yeah, that's that same bug as this one here. Broken boats and all boats exit, because they haven't read it properly, because you haven't given them the information they're looking for. And if you're looking, it's like people that read CVs for a living to give people jobs. They're reading through thousands and thousands and thousands of CVs. If you want your CV to stand out so you can get a job, you need to make sure you give them the exact information they want to see in a way that they can see it, right? If you just got loads of waffle on there and pictures and it's all like fancy, but your information's hidden, you're not going to get the job. And it's the same with the bug reports. If you want them to pick up on your bug report and fix it and see it, give them the information they're looking for, because they're scanning through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of new bug reports made every day, and you need it to be what it says. Okay? Good. Glad we had this talk.
Yep. Good talk. Next up, we got Tiny Raccoon that says, in creative or survival, but this shouldn't be possible on a legit world, any suspicious gravel you have placed will not drop anything. Also, shadows on items being brushed out are broken. The item is 100% black and trail runes have a tiny bit above ground. Then like 25 block gap with nothing, just normal stone before the structure continues. Now, I've seen that with the trail runes. They've bugged that, so we know that's a thing. What is it? The shadows? I haven't noticed the shadow issue. And as far as with the sus gravel, you shouldn't be able to place it, but they don't drop anything. I wonder if that's kind of like the shriekers that didn't work at first.
Could be. No, the shriekers were intentionally in creative. They said, we don't want shriekers to be able to summon a warden. So
right.
The only ones that will are the ones in the deep dark, which is, I guess, fine, but kind of rubbish for map makers. Now, this one, you're saying that if you're placing suspicious gravel or suspicious sand in creative, it doesn't have an item inside.
Well, you can now place with commands a shrieker that will allow you to summon a warden.
Yes, with commands you can, but you can't just grab one out of your creative inventory and hope that it's going to work.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I'm guessing this is a similar thing. When you place one out of creative, it's not going to have a loot table. Yeah. I don't know why. Maybe that is a bug. Maybe that's intentional. I've no idea. I know what you mean by the shadow thing, though. So when I've been brushing the items in the trail ruins, until the item is the majority of the way out of the block, depending on which direction it's coming out of the block, it will often be really dark. But you'll notice, like, if an entity is partially inside of a block that's above it, the game thinks it's in a block, so it just turns black. The whole thing just goes really dark. And it's the same thing for the items coming out, because it's just an entity popping out of a block. So, yeah. And as for the trail ruins being broken, yes, there is a bug at the moment that means that you can see some trail ruins from the surface, which is kind of nice, but then there's a big old gap between them where there's nothing, and then the structure's way down below. So, not ideal. Okay. Is it me? It is, isn't it?
It's you.
The last piece of Bugdate is from Downloadable Duck. Says, this isn't Minecraft's fault because I play on a heavily modded world, but when I try and use the locate command, nothing happens. It's super annoying. I just got a Warden Dimension mod with the Ancient City portal and whatnot, and now the only way to get in the dimension is most likely using set block to place a portal block. I haven't played on my world since 1.19.83, so I do have to hope that maybe 1.20 fixed it somehow, as it's possible that the update ended up messing with the mod. That's not the best way to say it, but it's happened before where the world updates and messes the mod's coding. The locate command shouldn't be affected by any mod, because that's a built-in command for detecting vanilla structures. It's not going to ever work detecting modded structures. That's not a thing, but it should always work for vanilla structures. Now, if that mod, and there's a big however and an asterisk here, if that mod uses the beta API system, they can be detecting the player typing in the locate command in the chat, overwriting it with their own one, and then giving you, a different thing back into the chat based on that. And if 1.20 is if you updated to 1.20 and the mod's not updated for 1.20, then that's not going to work, because the API system for 1.20 and 1.19.83 are totally different for the chat command. But then the chat command overwrite wouldn't have worked, so the locate command from vanilla should work. So I don't know.
Oh,
No bug
yeah.
report again. What you should do, download a bug book, right, is see if it works in vanilla. And if it works in vanilla, right, make a bug report. If it doesn't, go and moan at the people that made the mod.
Exactly.
Okay, that's it for the bug date. If you've got a bug, like I said, email us, fill in the feedback form, or join the Discord and tell us on there. Before we get to our week in Minecraft, I just want to say, any people that are listening to the live show, if you have a question you would like to ask them, please ask it in the live questions chat on the Discord so that I can add it to the spreadsheet, the doc, and then we can answer it. But if you don't, then we won't be able to. Just say, Slack, what have you done in Minecraft? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Not much. Not much. I logged in on Slackville on 1.20, and I went and did a little bit of exploring, and it just, nothing about this update appeals to me as a player in a pre-existing world. It feels like all these features are for new worlds. Like, I have no desire to do nothing with the cherry wood or anything like that because I've already got a build palette that I'm using on almost every world. The ancient the trims and stuff like that, I feel like that's stuff that I would enjoy at the beginning of a world. But like in a world that's already established, I'm like, why do I care? I've already got ancient, netherite armor. I've already got everything I need. I'm not worried with that little bit of cosmetics. So, and I'm not worried about exploring because I'm already on existing worlds, that I've already got all my tools and I've already got everything. So it's been a pretty slow week for Minecraft for me. It's just, I haven't felt it, man. I just haven't felt it at all. I logged in that first day and I was really hyped. And then after about 20 minutes of doing it, it's like, okay, I found a trail rune like right out the gate. And I excavated that, and then I went flying around and I seen another one. I'm just like, do I really want to go through that again? it's just, I just did it. Do I want to do it again?
My sentiments exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
What about you?
Yeah. So my only experience with 120 so far, and my only Minecrafting I've done this week, I've done 3 live streams since 1.20 came out. It was one before the stream weekend for Truly Bedrock, one on the stream weekend, and one after. In the first one, for all 3 of them, my plan is to go and get all of the different armor trims, although I've excluded myself from having to get the silence one because I don't want to spend that long trying to do it. So I thought I'd go and get all of the relatively easy ones. The first thing I did was flew a long way, found an ocean monument, went in there, killed the Elder Guardians, and got 2 of those ones. And that was nice and easy. They just dropped them. There is only a 25% chance they will, and I got 2 out of 3. So I was pretty lucky with that. Real
lucky.
Oh, go on.
Real lucky. I still haven't got one and I've rated like 4 or 5 monuments now. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Okay. So then I went off to, I can't remember exactly where I went, but basically we went to a jungle temple. I was told there was suspicious sand at the jungle temple, but I couldn't find any. Went to a desert well. And we got one from a desert well and found the suspicious sand there. I went to a desert village and found a camel, decided it was too much like hard work doing anything with it, so left it. Went over to a jungle temple, got one there was one, just one or maybe 2 in the jungle temple, I can't remember. And we basically covered everything in that one until I got to a pillager outpost. And I got to a pillager outpost and there was it was in a cherry blossom biome, which was quite nice. And I went to the chest at the pillager outpost to try and get that one. There wasn't one in there. So I thought I'll just hang about and grab some of this cherry stuff and grab some saplings and things like that. And then got minced by the by the local villager patrols who took care of me, Slack. And then I respawned all the way back at Spawn Town, and I was about 12,000 blocks out. I had to do many flying to get back there, so that was good fun. I went to a woodland mansion, went all the way around a woodland mansion. Again, I can't remember if I died in there or not, but it was hard work. There was way more evokers and vindicators in this woodland mansion than I've ever seen before. Normally in a woodland mansion, I'm lucky if I find 2 evokers and maybe 3 or 4 vindicators. But I think there was about 5 or 6 evokers in this one. There must have been 15 or so vindicators. It was hard work. It was slow going. But and I went around every single room. There were no chests in any of the rooms. But then right at the end, I found this one little room which I'd never seen before. So I don't know if it's a whole new room they've added for the update for this one thing, but it's like it's a really thin room that you go up a staircase, then you come back up a staircase, then you go up a staircase, then you come back up a staircase, and then you go down, and it's almost like this little maze of staircases, and you end up like the staircase just ends at a chest, and in that chest,
yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, the armor trim was in there, so I got one, and then I think that was about it for that stream. So then it was live stream weekend, and we got a Chunk Town thing going on in a cherry blossom biome. And I thought, well, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to build a monument to all of the trims. And I want to display all the trims so people can come along, clone them if they need them, and, just have them all on display, which means I'm going to need all the trims. So I knew that I needed to go to a Trail Ruins in order to get, because there's four different ones you can get at a Trail Ruins. And so I went and found a Trail Ruins. So I've been using chunk base for all these things because there's no way I'm just going to go around looking for things. Absolutely not. I've used chunk base for every single structure. And I found this Trail Ruins and I started digging it out. And I thought maybe half an hour, 45 minutes worth of the live stream, and then I can then get on to Chunk Town and actually start building stuff. And it took me literally the full 2 hours worth of live stream to dig this thing out. Which is good because it's big. It's a nice big structure to dig out. And I think in some ways, at some points, it was quite fun going, oh, a piece of suspicious sand or gravel, which was nice, or just gravel in those, actually. But the majority of it was just incredibly boring and very frustrating. You're on edge the whole time because the suspicious gravel is so easy to break. I broke 3 of them by mistake because it doesn't stand out all that much. And we mentioned on the live stream that a texture pack that makes it stand out would be a good thing to have. But
I done downloaded one.
I still struggle with this. Like, why are they so full? I mean, there was, to be fair, 30 or so pieces of suspicious gravel in that Trail Ruins. Great. But out of that, I got 3 smithing templates and I got the
30
music
pieces
disc.
of dye. 30 pieces of dye, 20 pieces of glass,
wooden hose, beetroot seeds, and a couple of emeralds. Yeah. And I just think there's too many negatives here. It's like if you break a block underneath one, it doesn't fall like gravel and settle again. It's just gone. It's dead. It's smashed. So you've missed it, right? If you accidentally touch it, and I'm talking touch it, not, mine it for a couple of seconds. You just touch it, it smashes. It's gone. You've lost it. So they're incredibly, brittle. And because you're digging out a structure that's underground, you often find yourselves digging upwards. And if you're digging upwards, there's a chance the piece is going to fall down. So digging these things out is a mission on itself. And I know this is supposed to be reflective of archaeology. And archaeology, when you're being an archaeologist and you've found a ruin and you're carefully brushing away all of the artifacts, it's a slow and tedious process. I get that. But this is Minecraft. It's a game, okay? The game is, hey, there's a structure, there's secret things in it, go find them, be careful. Fine. Okay, if you need me to be that careful, don't make it so only a handful of these pieces of gravel actually have anything worth having in, right? Because I'm happy to be careful and not smash the blocks, but it's so soul-destroying when you accidentally smash one because you're like, is that the one that would have had the thing in? That's not fun. It's not a pleasurable experience. It's so frustrating because it's took you 2 hours. 2 hours to get to those pieces and you smash one and you're like, oh. And it's like, it's like in the old days of gaming, you're like, oh, I'll start again. And it was like, where's the reload my save button?
It's annoying.
So, and I got 3. I got 3 out of the 4. I was convinced that the other one, the 4th one, must have been in one of the 3 pieces that I smashed. And I thought, I don't want to do that again. I really don't want to do that again in my spare time or on a stream, because I love digging. I love going out and digging, but digging for me is like a relaxing experience where you don't matter what you're digging, you're just digging, you know?
How can we make digging stressful? Yep.
It's so stressful. You're constantly switching between your pickaxe and your shovel. You're constantly cautious about every single block that you're mining just in case. You daren't hold down the click button, so you like click, 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 click on every single block. Because if you hold it down and there's a suspicious one behind it, it's dead. It's gone. It's awful. It's not a fun experience at all. And I'm sure some people will find that fun. I'm sure people will enjoy the challenge of doing that and feeling some great satisfaction at uncovering the room underneath it. And I didn't leave everything, but I left all the bricks. I left everything that was made of brick in there to see what the ruins look like, because I was making a joke with people before. It's just block spam. It doesn't look like anything. It's just a load of rubbish. I said, this is the joke from the developers, right? We've been moaning about for a few years now, inventory management, and the developers have gone, oh, you want an inventory management problem? Okay, we're just going to block spam 30 different types of blocks, and in those 30 different types of blocks, there's 100 different types of items you'll get out of them. And we're just going to shove it all in an area and then make you go around tediously collecting every single bit, hoping that you're going to find this secret bit of loot. To me, that is the developers, like who's in charge of Minecraft they're sticking fingers up at us. Is basically what they're doing.
They're trolling us.
Yeah. So I was making a joke. There's no, you uncover it all. There's nothing there to look at. And a few people in my Discord were like, no, there is. So they took the seed and they went and run some commands and they posted some pictures to my Discord of what it looks like if you just get rid of all the gravel and the rubbish blocks. And it kind of does look a little bit like an old, broken down set of houses. But then what's that for? Then you've just got this hole in your world. You haven't dug it all down because it's so far below ground. It's ridiculous. They shouldn't be so far below ground. They should be just below the surface, right? Yeah. People aren't digging in dig sites hundreds of feet down to find these things. They're below the surface because they've just been buried by the environment and sediment over a few thousand years, not millions of years. Maybe dinosaur bones, a bit lower down, but when you're digging up Roman houses, unless you're in Pompeii, a couple of feet under the ground. So I just think, what do you do with it? You've uncovered it all. You've made it look nice, but then what do you do with it? I suppose some players could then go and rebuild the stuff in there and make it look like it used to look. But for everyone else, it's just like, well, there's a hole in the ground. And then if you go down that hole, there's just a load of block spam down there that I've left. What do I do with that? So for me personally, and again, this is my opinion, I don't have to share it. But I'm never going to do it again, ever.
I'll tell you something else that I don't like about them. The fact that they have crafting tables and workstations that spawn in them.
Yeah, cauldrons.
Okay, so what happens with one of these that spawns underneath a village and you're trying to work with that village?
Yeah.
And you don't know what's there.
Yeah, exactly. Because it'd be fine on Java Edition because they have to be able to pathfind to it, but on Bedrock, they're going to be connecting to the stuff that's in there. And I tell you what,
because we've all seen raid outpost spawn in the middle of a village.
Yeah,
this will happen.
You know how people tend to get quite irritated on stream if you do something like, and I do it all the time just to wind people up. You see the old diamonds, not deep slate diamonds, and you just go and smash them.
Yeah.
This is going to be one of those things you're going to dig out an area and you're going to come across the trail ruins and you're just going to just blast through it with everything you've got with haste 2 because you don't care, because you've got a job to do. And stream are going to be screaming because of all the suspicious gravel that you just smash into pieces.
All you're going to hear is the sound of glass breaking.
Yeah. Why is it glass break sound?
I don't know. Because half of them have glass in them.
That's true. But not glass blocks, glass panes, magenta glass panes, lime glass panes. What ancient civilization was dyeing glass?
I don't know.
Ah, man.
I don't. I don't know.
I'm just going to read something from the chat. I know we shouldn't, but I'm going to read something. Mr. Bauer says, I saw the stream where they had real archaeologists, Pixel Riffs, Ulrafs, and Joel Duggan cleaning out a trail ruin. So the whole process of how it anchors to actual archaeology, how they would analyse what they found and where they found it. So it's not just block spam and how they developed it, the source, the info. Yes, I realise they've actually done some looking into it, but I still think this is very much from Mojang. Here, how do you like your inventory management now?
Yep. Oh, because this is a disaster. I was going over and just chucking stuff on the floor constantly.
Yeah. So it's such a shame because it's probably one of the more interesting structures in Minecraft because it's actually got things in it, but it's just horrendously boring and stressful to dig it out. And it's like I keep saying, I don't want Minecraft to be a stressful game. I play computer games, particularly Minecraft, to escape. I don't want a reflection of real life. I don't want people moaning that I've killed a cat in an iron farm. Cats shouldn't be in Minecraft. No animal should be in Minecraft. It should all be fantasy. It should be a total escape from reality where you can just go and not have any guilt or stress or worry of things that you're doing in there being reflective of real life. And I think if there was like an actually good Minecraft spin-off or Minecraft-esque game that was exactly the same as Minecraft but pure fantasy, I think I'd really enjoy it. Like if there was a mod that made Minecraft just 100% fantasy, it converted any of the vanilla entities and any of the vanilla not vanilla, like human and real world entities and ideas into something else, I think I'd enjoy it more.
Yeah, instead of it being a cow, it'd be some kind of just fantasy creature. Instead of a chicken, something else.
Yeah.
And you could change the names via, resource pack and stuff like that. Yeah.
But then it's not vanilla, so I'm not watching it.
Don't watch it then. Go watch something else. Viewers are a dime a dozen. You leave, another one will show up.
Yeah, I wish it was like that. Jeez, okay. I think we've pretty much gone through everything we've got to talk about in our week in Minecraft. That is about it.
Yeah.
I did that after that, actually. Yeah, so after digging out that, the next stream, I did the Nether and the Bastion. And that, yeah. So, let's move on to the wish list. Jeez. Right, I don't think me and you have wishes anymore, do we? Because we've pretty much got everything we want's already in Minecraft. So we'll go straight to the community, we've got a very short wish list this time, which is unusual.
Nice, considering we're already over 2 hours, though.
Yeah, and the first two are basically M2 Lansky came up with something and then Purple Hose had copied them.
Okay. Copycat.
M2 Lansky says, the cartographer villager should sell a map of all overworld structures to players. That way we wouldn't need seed chunk base or seed chunk anymore. And I agree with you. There's what's the point in the trail ruins being hidden underground? Because it's not the sort of thing, right? It's not the sort of thing. If you are an archaeologist-style Minecraft player, you're not just going to go round randomly digging holes to find one. The only way you're going to find one of these things is when you're digging out an area underground, and then you're going to be annoyed because, there's a trail ruins here and I need to go around that gently. I don't want that to be there. I should probably preserve it. If that's the type of player you are, right? There needs to be a way of locating them. There absolutely needs to be a way. And the cartographer villager is the perfect villager because that's what they do. They sell maps to things. So, yeah, if the cartographer was like, oh, yeah, there's a trail ruins over here, great. Yeah, I'd buy that. I'd much rather use a vanilla mechanic like a cartographer than chunk base. But they only what do they sell? Ocean monuments and woodland mansions. That's it, isn't it? And they're always miles away. So you don't even know where you are on the map. So I think that needs improving, that system. But yeah, 100% agree with you on that one. Or
totally agree.
Do what they did with the ancient cities and say, if it's a mountain, there's an ancient city underneath it. Yeah, and you can go, I can see a mountain, right? So there should be something above ground to suggest there is a trail ruins beneath it. Maybe like a bit of the trail ruins poking out the top, but that's not always the case. But, when I've been on holiday and I've been to excavation sites and stuff like that, they're normally found because there are still some of the structures existing above the ground, right? So give us a visual indication above the ground that we can see to suggest, it might be a good idea to dig around here.
Well, since we're on wish list right now, I think we covered it last week. I feel like they missed a big opportunity with the Wandering Trader. Why he doesn't sell armor trends or pottery shards or something. Just a big missed opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. I mean, they could even add an archaeologist villager in if you don't want to use the cartographer.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Buy brushes off.
That would be nice.
And, and maybe they could add in a different level of brush so it doesn't take so bleeding long. It's not fast brushing these things out. And when you want to be a fast player like I do, I'd rather have a diamond brush and just go in the items out rather than having to go 10 minutes.
10 minutes and then accidentally, there was a piece of gravel above that and there was another one up above that and you hear...
My chat were like, you can put mending and unbreaking on your brush. Like, I'm not putting mending and breaking on a stick, a piece of copper and a feather. All of 3 items are in massive quantity and not difficult to get hold of. I am not wasting some enchantments on those. No, thank you. So, Flint and steel I can understand because it doesn't last very long, and flint is a pain to get hold of, and iron's, is not as common as copper. So, not a brush. Now, if it was a diamond brush, yes.
Yeah. If you can make different levels of brush, okay? So the copper one takes longer, the diamond one's faster, the netherite one's just like one hit.
Yeah. One hit, straight out. In fact, you don't even need to brush it. It's a magnet and the stuff comes straight out of the piece of gravel. You stand there, you don't have to dig any of the ruins up. You just stand in the middle of them and all the pieces.
I can get behind that. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, purple hoser. Jeez.
Oh no, purple hoser is the same thing. We just covered that with Lansky, didn't we?
Yeah. Basically, they said the same thing. Can we have the cartographer
master cartographer?
Yeah. So do you want to do Greystone then?
Yeah, I'll go down to Greystone. Greystone says, "Hi, Block Update crew. My wish list item is timed-based achievements. Once or twice a month, Minecraft could add a time-based achievement. This could include defeating a certain amount of mobs or collecting various items or traveling certain distances, visiting particular biomes, etc. For completing these achievements, you would receive particular items. These items could be rare or common, depending on the challenge of the achievement. A bit like what they have in Pokemon Go, this would add fresh new challenges, which would be themed around different events throughout the year. Sorry for the book. Keep up the good work." I'm
surprised my Bedrock Edition haven't already done this, because this reminds me so much of season passes and battle passes and the sort of things you get with games as a service. And I'm so surprised that the marketplace haven't gone, how can we monetize the vanilla game? Oh, well, if people pay for a season pass, we could add in like regular events that they could do in their world, and we could give them an item and it will cost them $7.99 a month for the next season pass. I don't want that in Minecraft. I absolutely don't want that in Minecraft. If you want to do those sorts of games, time-based achievements, yes, it's quite difficult to do on Bedrock Edition because achievements are per player and not per world, but you can do them whenever you want on Java Edition, unless you can't play Java Edition, and I guess that's an issue. Or you could maybe get like a world from a marketplace that allows you to do something similar to that, or download a mod that allows you to do something similar to that. But I don't want that in vanilla. I don't want the marketplace turning Bedrock Edition into a games as service game where they're constantly for the vanilla game asking you to spend money. I don't want that.
No. This week, mine 200, mine a chest of deep slate, and we'll give you a diamond pickaxe with the texture. No, I do not like this idea at all. No.
Can you imagine, right? We were on Truly Bedrock and Silent Whispers paid for the season pass, but me and you haven't. and he's like, "Oh, I just got this silence armor trim, or I got this amazing pickaxe, or I got these things, like a chest worth of gold because I did these things for my thingy." No,
No,
absolutely not.
nope, no, totally against that idea.
Yeah.
Denied, rejected, bury it, never bring it up again.
Yeah. Which takes us to Stitch Fix. Oh, goody. Who says,
Oh, joy.
"My wish is a mirror. A new block in the game where I can put my trim and colour and it shows me my armour without using the trim colour so I can see it on me." Oh, hang on a minute. Let me read that again. "A new block in the game where I can put in my trim and colour. Then it shows me my armour without using the trim or colour so I can see it on me in game survival."
They want a mirror block.
No, they want to be
They
able
want to walk up.
They want to test their armour trims without actually spending the money, by the sounds of things.
No, it sounds like they want to use it, but they want to walk up to something without going into third person and just see themselves, is what it sounds like.
But it says, then it shows me my armour without using the trim colour so I can see it on me in game survival. Yeah, she's just written in chat, not use it. So she wants to play, she basically wants a dressing room.
They already got a dressing room.
Yeah, I think the F5 key, your third person camera is your best bet there, but you're gonna either have to go in creative and do it or spend money. I don't see. You're not asking for a mirror there at all. That's not what you've asked for. I see why you're saying it's a mirror.
Yeah,
but you're basically
you
saying,
preview.
I want to preview this trim before I put it on, which would be kind of cool. But I think the only realistic way you could do that, I don't know, I can't see how they could do that. I think maybe, you know how like you've got in your inventory, there's a picture of you in the little black square, or if you play with the paper doll on, there's like you up in the top left, right? Maybe what they could do is when you're in the smithing table and you've got the armor trims and the materials in the slots, it would, instead of just showing you the icon, it would maybe put your picture in there and show you what it would look like on you wearing it.
Okay, so what if they took your paper doll and brought it down there to beside wherever you're doing the smithing
within the UI
that.
of the smithing table.
Right. And you know how when you go to put a pattern on the banner, it gives you a preview of it.
Yeah,
what if they could just apply that to your character's paper doll UI? That could be cool. Yeah,
that would work, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So just we don't need a mirror. We just need a preview in the smithing table, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The kind of mechanics kind of already exist in the game. We already got a paper doll. So why can't we just have the paper doll be moved when we're in the smithing table to being right there beside it? And then it works just like it does with a banner. If you're going to apply this, it shows you the preview of what it would look like on the armor.
Yeah. Perfect. Good idea. Well done.
Yeah.
Right. That's it for the wish list, which takes us on to our final section, which is the question section. Don't forget, if you've got a wish, then you can email us, do the feedback form, or join the Discord. And the same with the questions. And we like questions. We've got a whole live questions thing for people to ask live questions, and only one person has today. So I'm sad. But I'm also going to reorganize these a little bit because, I don't think you want that really long one, do you? Do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start. I like this rearranging process right here. This is really good. Honey Raccoon says, will everyone on Truly Bedrock be waxing their shop signs now?
No. No need to, because we trust people.
That's the biggest thing about, that is one of the biggest things about the kind of server we play on, where people do this for, even, I wouldn't say everybody does it for a living, but there's a level of professionalism with it because everybody either makes videos or streams. We don't got to worry about griefing. So, no.
Leave our ender chests all over the place and no one goes in them. I was thinking about this. I don't really see the point in waxing signs because you can still break the sign and then write something back on it again. I like the fact that signs are editable, but I don't see the point in waxing them unless that is just to stop you interacting with the sign by mistake. But when are you clicking on a sign?
The only time I can think of a waxable sign being usable would be for maybe like a minigame map or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could imagine stuff like if you're building a map and you might want someone to click this sign to do this thing, then it makes sense to be able to use wax signs to stop them accidentally editing the sign. But in survival, I don't really see any point at all in waxing the signs. It's a waste of wax. Okay. Clover Blonde says, "Hey guys, Clover here. I just finished the Camels at All. Clever name on your part and the update logger. The discussion on the Sniffers plants got me thinking about what could be on the other side of the Deep Dark Gateway for when we can activate it. What instead of a Deep Dark Dimension, which seems a bit too obvious, it instead leads to the Deep Past Dimension with more of a sci-fi twist to things that you suggested the Torchflower looks like. This would allow for an area of the game to depart from a more Middle Ages vibe, would allow for furthering the subtle plot of Minecraft, and could introduce new mobs that inhabit the fixed, freshly built structures in the past dimension. I know it's a stretch. I just feel the Deep Dark Dimension would be feel too similar to the Deep Dark Biomes. Thanks for taking the time and hard work for the podcast. Clever Blonde died attempting to light a portal to the past." That's quite funny you should say that, Clover, because all the time I've called it a Deep Dark Dimension, I've never actually imagined for a second it would look like the Deep Dark in there. I don't know what it would be like in there. I call it a Deep Dark Dimension because you get to it through the Deep Dark, you know?
And I hope it wouldn't look like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what would be the point in having a dimension that's identical to the Deep Dark Biomes? No.
I mean, a nether portal, granted, can be built anywhere, but it doesn't look like the nether.
No.
You know?
No, exactly. So I kind of like that there's a past idea in there. I do think there is something ancient. I was thinking maybe, like, a lot of the structures that we get in the game are degraded, like the ships that we find in the ocean are broken, and the underwater temples are broken, and the bastions are broken, and the temple ruins, not temple ruins, the trail ruins are broken. Everything's like degraded. So I wonder, like, if it was a past dimension, would all of those structures exist, but like as if they were new? Would there be an ocean in there, and the ships are just like full ships on the ocean? I doubt it, but that could be interesting.
It's interesting that some structures, like you were just saying, are broken and several are not. Like, why isn't an ocean monument broken? Or raid outposts or anything like that?
Yeah. Well, they're still occupied, aren't they? Raid outposts and ocean monuments, I guess, if you consider the Elder Guardians being the people that built them. But I think it was the Drowns. Definitely the Drowns.
No, because they were just looking for work, right?
Just looking for work, mate. I wonder if the reason why they're holding off from releasing the Deep Dark Biome is because they don't know what should be behind it. I wonder if there's that, or I wonder if there's like some deal we're doing with the Aether like people to bring the actual Aether.
If they're working on it now, they've been working on it for a while. Let's say we don't get it for 2 years. They've been in development on it this whole time.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so, considering the quality of the updates over the last couple of updates. I don't want to knock what the developers have been doing, because they've done so much work in the background, particularly on Bedrock Edition, with all of the improvements to the game and all the parity stuff. I mean, if you combine everything that's in all the minor change logs, they've actually done loads over these last few updates. You look at Bedrock 2 years ago to what it is now, and it's a totally different game. But the actual stuff that's part of the updates has just felt a little bit lacking the last couple of updates, in my opinion. Speaking of, our next question asks us what we think the updates like.
CJ says, what would you rate the 1.20 update out of 10?
Let's take all of the extra work they've done for Bedrock Edition out of the equation. Let's take all of the parity stuff and everything like that, and just the 1.20 features.
Take bug fixes out too?
Yeah. No, just all you're doing is you're looking at the 1.20 features and going, what's that out of 10 for me?
For me, it's about a 3. It doesn't add nothing I'm interested in at all. I can't think of one thing that really says I need this for anything I do, whether it's building or redstone or anything. I can't name you one thing that is going to change my gameplay at all.
Okay, for me, I like the fact that we've got cherry blossom trees. I think they're nice. I think the whole idea around them is quite nice, and I think that's going to enable a little bit more freedom with building things. That's good, and you also get a lot of wood from those as well, which is quite nice. I like the fact that you can now turn bamboo into chests. I'm not a fan of the bamboo wood set, but I'm glad there's another wood set in the game again. It would add to certain things, but I honestly, I look at that wood and I think I can't imagine anything that I would want to put that in. To me, it's all the bamboo wood is literally the ugliest block in the game. Now, the bamboo blocks themselves, not the stripped one that's yellow, the green one, they're not too bad, but all of the yellow ones are just gross. The bamboo mosaic, the bamboo wood, the bamboo stairs, horrible. I really don't like them. So I don't like those. The camel I'm not interested in at all. I think the sniffer's interesting for a second, but then no one's going to care about them. I don't think because the flowers don't offer anything new and interesting. So unless all of a sudden someone decides, actually, you can really do a lot with villagers now if you fill their inventories up with torch flowers and pitcher pods, then I don't really see any point in having a bunch of torch flowers and pitcher pods because they don't go with any of the other plants in the game. So it's unlikely that I'm going to start putting those around my builds unless I really am going for a fantasy style build. I don't know.
Yeah.
Go on.
If I take my objectiveness out of it, for me, it's a 3 out of 10. For new content that's been added overall to the game, I'll give it a 7. But
yeah, there's a lot to it.
Higher than that.
I love the hanging signs. I love the bookshelves. I don't think I'd do much with the bookshelves other than just make my office look nicer and like make libraries and things look nicer. I've always had way too many enchanted books, way too many unenchanted books, and then still use the texture pack that like variates my bookshelves, and I don't have to do that anymore. So I really like the bookshelves. They're really going to help me out in those sorts of builds. So I think on the whole, I would probably say for me, this update's probably around about a 5 or 6 out of 10, just because half the stuff I'm not really bothered about. I'm not going to really make use of. But
now,
the other half of the stuff is really good.
Yeah, take your personal. Yeah. Now, what do you personally? You find it a 5 or a 6? What do you
I
think
still say
is
about the same. I think
Okay.
it's a pretty weak update overall. I don't think they've really added. You go back to the aquatic update, the nether update, the end update. All of the things that they did in those updates were amazing, and they had wow moments. This didn't have a wow moment, and if it hasn't got a wow moment, it's not going to get above a 7. Comparing it to all the other updates of Minecraft, I'd say this is in line with the bees update for me. Very little of substance, but quite nice.
Yeah, there's some nice changes to it, but I could, nothing fancy. Yep, I agree. Yep.
Okay, Ducky McQuack is back, saying, I know you mentioned it before, but I forgot. My daughter's been begging me to make videos, and I enjoy them, but I can't stand hearing myself all muffled, and you both sound crisp and clear. What mics do you use? Thanks for answering my sleep question. Foxy, I do understand why you can't explain the workaround. I had found one on YouTube, but it doesn't seem to work on 1.20. I'll keep looking. So this is that was in response to what we talked about in this podcast, because it's a live question. Your podcast, your microphone, it doesn't matter what microphone you use as long as it is a relatively reasonable microphone. If you're using, an Alibaba Express $5 microphone, it's probably not going to be capturing enough of the frequencies of your voice to really do a great deal with it. But the reason Slack and I sound crisp is not necessarily the quality of our microphone, but it's because maybe not while we're live recording, but I was going to say I take a lot of time to, in fact, mine's running through an equalizer. So I adjust the EQ of my voice before you hear it. Now, if I record directly into my PC without any effects on it whatsoever, I hate the sound of it as well. Every single person's voice has different frequency ranges and different parts which stand out and which don't. And there's a lot of, in my voice, your voice in your head sounds different to how it sounds out loud. So it's already going to sound different, but that's not the reason I dislike it. I dislike it because my voice has a lot of the boxy area. If you're looking at a frequency graph, you've basically got the bass end at one end. Then you've got like this area where it's boxy. It sounds like you're in a box. Then you've got like your spoken words, your sort of your nice area, and then you've got your high frequencies, which you don't really want any of those high frequencies. You probably want a reasonable amount, what they call it, brightness or presence, the bits around about 2 to 4 kilohertz. Anything around about 500 kilohertz is that boxy reason. And I have to really drop mine down to get rid of that because it sounds awful without it. And then depending on what I'm going to, sometimes I boost the bass up a little bit on mine or reduce it. But Slack's just got a nice voice.
No, mine's running through an equalizer.
Is it?
Yep. I'm using the Corsair HS80, and
there you go.
it runs everything. It's got an equalizer on it. I can add limiters and stuff to it. But yeah, I love this mic. This headset only cost me about $120. While I've spent on my microphone back home, I've went through many different variations. The one I had just before this that I was using to record podcasts with, I've got almost $500 invested in that. And then I bought this one, and it's on par with that.
Yeah.
So.
See, over the years, I've had a bunch of different mics. The one I think sounded the nicest, although it was a pain because it picked up all the room noise, was a Rode. Oh, geez, what was it called? It was a Rode condenser microphone. It's a popular one that they use for like singing and stuff like that. And there was a really high, there was a nice presence to that one. It didn't capture much of the muddy bits because it was designed more to capture the sort of the higher end of vocals for singing and things like that. That was lovely, and I've never recreated the sound I got through that in my videos, but it picked up all of the room reverb. It picked up all of the noise. It picked up every single key click and mouse click because it was a condenser microphone. So. Then I moved to a Shure SM7B, which is every YouTube video people's got that. It's like a £400 microphone, and it sounds rubbish. It sounds awful. It captures all of the low end, nothing in the high end. So you really have to do all of the EQ on that microphone to take out all of that low end and put all the high end into it. I don't know. It's one of those microphones that has got popular because people have been seen using it. Not because it's a good microphone. It is not a good microphone. Yeah. So don't waste your money on one of those. Then I went to another Rode microphone, which was a Rode NTG4, which was a shotgun microphone. And I didn't buy that to do this. I bought that for, I was doing some video work externally. It's a location microphone. And I figured out that if I wrapped it in one of those like dead cat like muffle things, put it in front of my face with a pop shield on it, it actually sounded really nice. I could turn the gain right down, because they were designed for like recording audio from a distance. I turned the gain right down, got absolutely no noise, and if I spoke really close into it, it sounded lovely. And I was using that for ages, but it was big, it was massive, and it took up loads of room on my desk, and it was difficult to disguise and hide. So then I just thought, do you know what? I'm just going to get a cheap microphone, and I got a Rode Pod mic, which is about £100. I say cheap, it's a cheap of the relatively decent ones. And you know what? I love this microphone. It sounds fine. It sounds way better than the SM7B. It's not as presency as the other ones, but it's fine. And just with a little bit of EQ, I can get me to sound nicer.
Yeah, I've got the SM. It's not the 7. It's which one is it? The M8.
Yeah, you've got the USB one.
MV7. Yeah, the MV7.
Yeah,
and I don't like it. My favorite mic, aside from this one, was my Audio Technica.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I get back home, I'm probably going to unhook my Shure and hook back up that one and run it through all the preamps and stuff.
Is he awake? I can just hear baby. So
yeah, he's waking up.
At the end of the day, there's no what effects, what EQ settings should I use for my voice, because every single person's voice is different. I still fiddle with mine, and I've been doing it for years. it's a slow process, and you get to know what's good and what's bad. By all means, learn about it. I've been on audio production courses. I've done music courses and all sorts. It didn't really help that much. I understand how it works, but until you actually start fiddling with it and trying to tune it to your voice, and it's very difficult to do for your own voice because it's very difficult to have perspective on your own voice, as daft as that sounds. So maybe if you've got somebody that knows a thing or two about audio that you know's got good ears, maybe ask them to have a fiddle with some settings for you and see what they come back with. But generally speaking, most microphones, if they're picking up the full range of audio with a few tweaks, you can make it sound pretty good. Just don't get one that picks up all the room noise, and don't get one that only picks up, like most headsets just pick up like the telephone frequencies, because they're not going to help you.
Yeah, and hearing your own voice, I don't think you ever really get used to that. Oh my God, somebody's cranky. That's something that just takes time.
Yeah,
it just takes time. And even I would say that we're constantly experimenting to this day. I do that. Sometimes I'll record one clip in a video, and then I record the next one the next day, and I sound totally different. So I have to run different filters on that clip to try to make it somewhat the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the last question is from Stitch Fix, who I can see is using the live questions to try and shoehorn in responses to previous things we've talked about in this live stream. Stitch Fix and have a conversation with us, but it's not working. She says, you say you like mining and exploring, but not for a video. Have you ever thought about doing Q&A videos to explore and resource gather? No. You want to see a video like that, watch IBX Toy Cat or any other YouTuber that just records videos that they just put out whatever junk that they've been like playing on during the week. They hit the record button and then they just put it out and then just talk over the top. I just don't have any interest in doing that. I want to make a video that's about what I'm doing. We do Q&As in the podcast every single week, and clearly there's not enough questions. Otherwise, this live questions thing would be full of questions, and it's not. So,
I remember I used to watch Toy Cat a lot, and I'm not trying to belittle him as a content creator or anything like that. But I sat down to watch a video of his once, and this was after I started YouTubing, and like it was just like a 30-minute.
It's the fastest.
It was a 30-minute video of him doing nothing but like placing glass somewhere.
Yeah.
But all the words, you could tell they were all recorded in one session, like he was reading it from a script, and I was just like, I'm done. I'm done. Yeah.
To come back to this question, I do like mining. I don't like exploring. I don't know where you got that idea from. I think I've said quite a lot this podcast and last podcast how much I dislike exploring, right? But I do like mining, and I do my mining while I'm doing live streams and we have a chat. So I don't do off-camera mining. I certainly don't do off-camera exploring. If I'm mining, I'm on a live stream. If I'm exploring, I'm on a live stream. If I was to do any off-camera, I'm not just going to record it and then do a Q&A video, because I'm probably, I don't know. That's not what people are looking for from my channel.
Yeah, if I'm off-camera doing something that's recording a time-lapse, that's it.
Yeah, or a time-lapse.
That's about it. No.
Okay, Stitch Fix, last one that I didn't put in the doc was, this is the shoe in to the response that we got earlier, which was when we were talking about camels being useless. Would you think a camel would be useful if it could give you water like cows give you milk? Seeing as they spawn in the desert, could be considered a rare thing. No, absolutely not. There's so much water around a desert in Minecraft. There's no thirst in Minecraft. There's no heat exhaustion. There's no. Why would you need it to give you water? A bucket of water. What for?
No, I don't even like the idea. No.
That's not useful. Giving it an item that is of no use to the player does not make it useful. But what if you need a bucket of water? Then I'll just walk 3 steps to the side and go to that river that's flowing through the desert village.
That's infinite water, yeah.
Yeah. No. I don't think I've ever been to a big enough desert where there isn't water within like 50 blocks.
And then it's not like you need to drink water to worry about surviving. You don't have thirst in the game.
No, exactly. No, you only need water if you're going to place water. Lucy, we got a last question. Another last question is from Lucy. It's just come in, hot off the press. Breaking news. Says, is it worth using variants of protection or just use protection 4 on everything if you always were Elytra? Well, I did some testing on this recently because I was sick of telling people that you should have protection 4 on everything because it's the most powerful. You should have the protection that suits your playstyle. Having 2 sets of fire protection 2 will be far more valuable than 4 sets of protection 4 if you find yourself being on fire or falling in lava a lot like I do. Because if you've got fire protection 2 on, you will never ever set fire protection 4 on 2 pieces of armor. You will never ever set on fire. You will slowly take damage from being in lava, but you cannot be set on fire. If you are fighting a wither or something that deals with projectiles like a ghast, then blast protection is going to be your friend. 2 pieces of armor with blast protection on is going to be far more valuable to you than 4 pieces of protection 4. And likewise, what are the other ones? So we've got fire protection, blast protection, projectiles protection. If you find yourself going up against a lot of skeletons, very, very useful. Again, ghast things and wither things are classed as projectiles as well. So if I was fighting a ghast, I'd probably go for, not a ghast, a wither. I'd probably, if I didn't have a beacon and I had just whatever I wanted in terms of armor, I'd probably go for 2 pieces of projectile protection and 2 pieces of blast protection. And I think that would be far more valuable than 4 pieces of protection 4. Now, if you have 4 pieces of protection 4, you will take less damage overall, which might sound like it's undoing everything that I've just said, but that's general damage. It's not damage direct from those things. Like if you got 4 pieces of blast protection armor on, you can stand next to TNT and take no damage. You know, it totally depends. So for me, generally speaking, I always have 1 piece of fire protection on, 1 piece of protection 4 on, and 1 piece of blast protection on for whatever I'm doing. And then my Elytra, when I take it off, that's my 2nd piece of fire protection. Because generally speaking, my problems are when I fall in the lava or get set on fire. But that's my playstyle. What about you, Slack?
Typically, I run 2 pieces of fire protection and 1 piece of blast.
Yeah.
That way, I can withstand the creeper blast and not get nuked in 1 hit, and I don't have to worry about catching on fire when I hit lava.
Yeah, that's good for gas as well, because gas leave fire everywhere. So if you're in the nether and there's gas about, stop you getting blown up and set on fire. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but if you don't go to the nether much, and you're just having problems with creepers, more blast protection. If you don't have much of a problem with creepers and there's a lot of zombies about and you're getting melee attacked, then protection's your best bet.
Oh yeah, and like if you're in a Soul Sand Valley, then it'd be better to be rocking netherite because of the knockback resistance.
Yeah, and if you're doing PvP, then I would suggest 2 pieces of protection and 2 pieces of projectile protection, because then you're protected against arrows and melee.
Yep.
There you go.
And then don't
Not
forget
TNT,
your shield to block all those shots, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that makes you stop moving. Right, that is it for the questions. If you would like to ask us a question for us to answer on next week's show, then don't forget to email us at news@theblockupdate.com, fill it in the feedback form on the blockupdate.com website, or join in our Discord, which is called The Block Update. The links for all of those are in the description below. I'd like to politely remind you that we are supported by Patreon, which is patreon.com/theblockupdate. If you would like to go to that and show us how much you love the show by supporting us at any level, we would thoroughly appreciate it. This week, Slack is going to be flying back to America, so probably not doing much Minecraft, right?
Yeah, nothing in the way of videos. Maybe daily streams. I don't know. I may cancel them until I get back home. I haven't decided yet. Plus, I got a lot of things happening over the next few days. Help me, little man.
I'm going to be driving over to see Slack. So no videos for me this week on my Foxy No Tail channel. Probably a very few live streams, but as usual, I have 14 videos a week going out on my Dogshot channel, so don't miss those. Jeez. Right, that is it for this week's podcast. Thank you all very much for joining, people in the live show. Thank you all very much for listening, people listening on their podcast app. And thank you very much for everybody watching on YouTube. Really appreciate you all. but it's time to go. All that's left to say is the same thing I say at the end of every podcast, and that is, if you're holding a baby at the end of the podcast like Slack is, then don't drop a baby, Slack. Don't do it.
Exactly. Don't drop the baby, but boop the baby's nose. Boop.